Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Here we go! Who knew I was fat until I was told by the Browns offensive line?
You're not fat. You're just full. You're
I'm
big.
boned.
You got a lot of meat on you.
By the way, before we get into that and anything else, we have to take notice. Jay, I'm sure you haven't seen it yet. I don't know, G. Bush, if you've noticed it yet. Mikey McNuggets is going with the porn stash look today.
Yeah, what are you doing? Why would you even say that you would do that?
It's bad.
Yeah, was it a bet?
I should not be allowed around kids right now.
That is creepy.
That is so creepy.
I told you guys I wasn't shaving the beard till the Cavs lost, and then I said if it got to 15, Steve, this music sucks. Kill the music. This music sucks.
This music is porn.
It's not appropriate. You need porn 70s.
Oh yeah, you got to fight through this.
It's bad. This will be gone as soon as I record with Sean King today. It will be shaved off.
Wait a second. We got an Amber Alert. Mike is not allowed within a half a mile of the school.
Mike, that literally might be the worst decision you've ever made. I know, but why would you do that?
Because I do things for content, and I didn't think it was going to reach 15. So when they were at 5, I said if they reach 15, I'd do it. But I'm a man of my word. I am a man of my word.
Is there anything we can do to make you keep it for a month? Anything we can say?
Well, I'm going home for Thanksgiving this weekend, so no. But maybe if they do something else, like if the Cavs start another streak, I'll do a mustache streak. But this is very bad.
Steve, I have a question for you. This is a technical question. Is it possible for you to zoom that camera in?
Yeah, mustache
as
cam.
Absolutely tightly as you can get on that lip sweater. I want to see the nose hairs going in and out as he breathes.
CJ, you're wrong, because guess who controls my camera?
Okay, Mike?
Me.
So then I'll ask you for content. Oh my God.
I guess Steve can. He took a free swing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
That is
tough
so
look, guys.
disturbing.
It is a tough look, but we're a man of our words here.
Bro.
And
I appreciate that, Mike. I remember Aaron Goldhammer on K&R once said he would eat shit if something happened, and it did happen, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, and
Chris Mad Dog Russo said he was going to quit if the Diamondbacks got to the World Series 2
You're
years
right.
ago.
I remember that too.
Hugh Jackson did, however, jump in the lake.
He did jump in the lake.
Well, at 0-16, we wish he would have jumped into something else. I actually, one time on this show, I said if something happened, I can't remember what it was, I would shave my head.
you said if Stephen Kwan hit 400, you would shave it.
Yeah,
shave your
you're
head.
right. God, you've got a great memory.
And you would have shaved your head if he hit 400, just like
1,000%.
I kept this for a day, or I will keep this
No.
for a day because the Cavs streak reached 15 games, and it's horrific. I mean,
no, it's
Is Mike
spectacularly
frozen on purpose
awful.
right now?
Steve screwed around, and now I'm in a
And he
freeze
found
frame,
out.
Steve.
Hey, man.
No, Steve.
He screwed around and found out.
He tried being funny. He messed up the show. Steve, we have a massive show. We have a giant audience today.
Mike, I think you need to make that all of your profile pictures. Everything.
Yeah.
Facebook, Insta, whatever.
Yes.
X,
Yes.
everything.
And by the way, on the Jay shaving his head thing, Jay, like any real baseball fan, knew there was zero chance he was going to hit 400. So,
That's when you make
but
those
you still
bets,
would have done
bro.
it.
That's
but-
when you say those things.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Mike, let me find out that you was in the house and Chris Hansen come out. What are you going to do with that pizza? we have the transcript.
This girl was
Why are
12
you
years
showing up
old.
with a six-pack of beer and a large pizza?
I saw
Could you come
Dan,
sit down with me?
I saw
Have a
Joe
seat.
Have a seat.
Have a seat.
upstairs when I was going to get Jack. Jay's nephew's in here today watching the show. So
He
shout out to
is.
Jack for coming
I'm sorry
in,
you
but
had to see this, Jack. I am really sorry that you had to witness this. Mike, I had
So real
told
quick, I
Jack
saw-
what
real
a
quick.
brilliant basketball mind you were.
We had a great chat this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was telling him all these things, and when he got here, he had no idea about this bet. When he got here, he saw that stash, and he's like, that's Mikey McNuggets?
That's wild.
This is the basketball genius?
Well, he
Jay
told me he
speaks
watched
of?
our Ultimate Cavs show beforehand, so I was like, at least he knows this isn't always the look. But I saw Joe upstairs as I was going to the kitchen this morning.
You know
And
who
Joe
you kind of look like right now? You won't get the reference, but Jay will, maybe G will, certainly Steve will. He looks a little like Sipowicz from NYPD Blue. Remember
Yes,
him?
He does. He does. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's bad. No, it's
It almost
objectively
looks like
horrific.
one of those fake
Yes.
nose glasses.
Yes, it looks
things.
fake.
that Bobby Valentine wore.
Oh, yeah, that was
Bobby
awesome.
Valentine was managing the Mets,
Oh,
and
wow,
he got
I forgot.
tossed out of the game. And he literally came back in the dugout with one of those novelty store.
Yes.
Like, if we got to call that picture up and see if we can find it. That's kind
See
of
if I
what
can find
McNuggets looks like right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did, and I was thinking the same thing. It looks fake. Because Mike is so, like, not hairy guy.
No, he's not.
He looks like he's 12 most of the time. And
It's bad.
I
It's
can't
really
stop laughing.
disturbing.
It's bad.
Like, literally, it's so bad. It's great. But
It is kind of funny, but no, it's
Yeah.
objectively horrific, and I will shave tonight. I think if I
Objectively
tried to get
horrific.
on the airplane Friday after the show, I'm
Yeah.
flying back.
you're on a no-fly list
I
looking
think
like
I'd
that.
be on a no-fly list,
Yeah.
so for the sake of
I'm sorry, sir.
hopefully safe travel.
Mike would say, why can't I fly? And they're
Yeah.
like, we've got our reasons. Well, tell me, why can't I fly? We can't tell you, but you're not getting on this plane.
Yeah. Was your girlfriend at your house last night when you did this?
I did a post-game show, then I shaved. Like, y'all saw me
Oh.
on the post-game Cavs show with a full beard, and then it took like 40 minutes to shave, too, because I was not prepared to shave a month-long beard.
We
with
should have
crappy
shaved live
razors.
on the air.
You know what you're supposed to do, Mike, is you get an electric razor and take off most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't
You tell
usually
them
grow
the
facial
authority on
hair, so I
shaving
wasn't
right now.
prepared for this situation. It was a whole dilemma, but it is what it is.
All right.
Seriously, if you want to roast me in the chat, leave a super chat reading at the end.
What do you mean, if?
This is, well, I'm not, Anthony's not here, so I'm not, Anthony called out sick this morning. I think he was just scared of whatever he
He
was going to
heard
see.
you were
Yeah.
coming in with a porn stash.
So I don't have the chat open. He's the one that usually flags me for stuff. So Steve Becker, if you see any good roasts, let us know.
please.
Send it to us via Teams.
Yeah.
But before we dive into the Cavs, we're going to spend the first hour of the show, the next hour, speaking on the Cavs' first loss of the season. I want to do a read, and I want Bull to address the elephant in the room here. But you can tackle all the NFL action
crazy.
Appropriate.
with
No, was there a
FanDuel.
pun intended,
That's
by the way?
crazy.
There was a bit of a pun there. Listen, I have a mustache. I'm funny now. So get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Bull, the floor is yours to explain what happened and the aftermath since.
I don't know that I need to explain anything. I said something on the show yesterday. We were talking about Dawand Jones.
Right.
Are you playing the clip or no, Mike?
No, you can just tell people what was said, and we have
So,
the responding
for those
tweets
who didn't
since.
hear it, I talked about his weight being a problem for him, which it obviously is. And the fact that he's been injured so many times, that despite the fact that he's obviously a very talented player, you can't rely on him. If you're the Browns, how can you go into next season feeling confident that Dawand Jones is going to be a starter? How could you? He's been injured so many times, and he's dealing with a weight issue. And I of course don't bring up his weight to make fun of him. I've talked about my struggles with weight 1,000 times on this show. When you are fat like he is, like I am, it's awful. And people don't look at you the same way. It's worse for me, obviously, because he's a professional athlete, in much better shape and much younger, and his weight doesn't look as bad as mine does because he's a foot taller than I am. But when you're fat, there's people that look down on you for that, and it's just and it's bad for you. Obviously, listen, you know, I'm reminded every day when 13 people text me, tweet at me, you're going to die. You know, yeah, I might die young. There's a decent chance I'm going to die young if I don't do something about it. But, you know, it's funny because with other types of addictions, people are sympathetic to that. And when it comes to food, nobody is. It's also the hardest addiction to deal with because you can quit smoking, you can quit drinking, you can quit doing drugs, you can quit gambling. You can't quit eating.
No.
You know, so, and I'm not saying any of this to have sympathy. I don't care if you have sympathy for me or not. At this point, I've heard so many fat comments, it really just goes off my back. I just don't care. But I wasn't making fun of him. I didn't want anybody to think that. Now, he responded to this thing where I said, hey, he can't be trusted, and then he's overweight. And he wrote, I think we both have a weight problem, but I'll be better this offseason. Somehow people turned that into he was crushing me. I don't know if he was crushing me at all. But even if he was, that's fine. I really don't care. Listen, I mentioned that that there's a decent chance he has a food addiction problem. I said also I don't know him personally to know for sure. But when you're severely overweight and you can't control your weight, and for his job, unlike mine, his weight is much more important.
That's the distinction, Bull.
Yeah,
right there.
and that's it. So, like, I'm rooting for him. He's a good player. I got no problem with him. I wasn't trying to humiliate him. I speak from the hip. That's who I am, how I am. So sometimes things I say come off a little harsh. I didn't mean to insult him in any way. But the reality is he's fat. And he needs to lose weight. Now, he needs to lose, I don't know what he weighs right now. He should probably weigh, 340, 350. I'm not sure what it is. I need to lose a lot more weight than he is, and I'm older, so it's much harder. But I need to lose weight too, sure. But for his job, he needs to lose weight. And it's not unfair. Everything I said yesterday, I stand by. It's true. Is anybody trusting that he's going to be 100% healthy next year?
That was a great rebuttal, Bull. That was a nice PSA.
But I'm not here to crush him or insult him or knock him. I'm not looking to put him in a body bag. I'm not interested in that.
And you know what? I don't know Dawand either.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a characterization that maybe I shouldn't make. To me, from what I've seen of him in the interviews, and I've never met him either, so I really don't know him. To me, he seems like not a spiteful or mean. There were things he could have said that you would have absolutely not been able to ask. Is that a low-key diss?
Right, yeah.
Now, I do think that for him to reach out, he felt there's always a motivation behind everything like that. So you had an action, he had a reaction.
Yeah.
Those guys have thousands of reactions a day, and they don't hit send. This one pushed a button. He seems like a perfectly nice guy. I don't think he meant the ill will that everybody read into it.
Even if he did, I don't care.
I do think I think instead of a backhand, I think he was like, okay, bro, I got you. It was a polite gentleman's tap on the shoulder. However, I'll say this. The key distinction, and I'm glad you made it. His job is dependent on his weight being at a certain level. Yours is not.
Yeah.
He's a professional athlete. There are things, responsibilities that go along with that. Now, I'm not one to make excuses, but he's been injured too.
Yeah, a lot.
And so imagine you're trying to work cardio. That's how you burn your calories and lose weight, and you can't because of previous injuries. It is fair to ask the question, or at least make the statement, I'm not sure how much the Browns can rely on him moving forward.
Yeah.
Trust me, they're asking that in Berea.
Of course.
However, I believe he's going to be okay.
I hope so.
I know you
want
do.
him to be.
I know you do, and I know you're genuine about that.
And I root for the fat guys. I want the fat guys. I'm a fat guy. I want the other fat guys to lose weight and succeid just like I want to lose weight.
I get the feeling G doesn't agree with some of what you said.
You don't agree with what I said?
You got smoked.
I got smoked. How'd I get smoked?
Listen, shout out to Dawand Jones. I like you. Listen, hey, I love when people get rabbit ears. And I tweeted this. I said, hey, hold on. He came back immediately. He said, this was the version of, I know you are, but what am I? Like, and he put it on Twitter. Like, yeah, man, listen, I'm telling you, bro, you've been eating sandwiches too. It takes one to know one. Sure. And I'm sitting here being like, as a former and continued fat offensive lineman, defensive lineman, this was the funniest ever because he was like, you know what, I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to raise my hand on that. Yeah. But you, my good sir, you have no room to talk, literally.
You know what, Bull? But, let's turn this into a positive, okay?
Yeah. No, it was funny.
I don't want to do this. I don't want to make a public spectacle of it and all that.
It was hilarious.
But I'm going to speak for Bull for a second. If I'm out of line, I want you to tell me. Okay. We all know people that struggle with weight. I mean, it's not just this is an epidemic, by the way.
Of course.
This is a
We're the fattest country in the world.
And Bull, I know probably even more than you think I do because I think I know you well. I don't think I know anyone that is overweight that wants to not be overweight more than you. And maybe that's an assumption and maybe I'm wrong. You've tried everything. I know you have.
Jay,
and I've heard
he's not making it sound good. He's like, I know you want to.
I have.
But you've tried everything.
Right.
Bull and I, in fairness, Bull and I have never had this conversation. Yeah. And as a friend of yours, I feel like maybe I'm not doing enough to help a friend.
No, I appreciate that. Everything you say is true. It's so funny. Our healthcare system is so crappy that I can't. I've been thinking about having weight loss surgery.
I know you have.
And my insurance doesn't cover it. Wow. So I was, believe it or not, this week looking at, somebody mentioned like going to another country. And I'm thinking, I live in America, the greatest healthcare system.
And you'd have to leave the country to do it.
And I'm looking at it's like best places to have weight loss surgery. Turkey, India. I'm like, I'm not going to Turkey or India.
I'm not being insensitive about this. Shout out to my brother Trent. He just had he stayed at my house. He had gastric bypass surgery.
Yeah.
About 2 weeks ago, he's recovering. My brother Bryson will have gastric bypass surgery in another month. I have two cousins who had gastric bypass surgery again about a year ago. It is a thing. Like, it's a thing. You have to prepare for it. But the struggle is real out there. People do, have issues with eating and different things like that. And, we could get you some information. I don't know how they got it because I don't know how they got this money all of a sudden because they be getting them like this left and right.
Yeah.
But here's what I will say.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing is I don't think Bull took it seriously. I just think it's having some fun. And at least Dawand Jones watches the show.
I already saw the clip.
And I responded to him that sounds like a weight loss challenge that maybe we can motivate.
So that's where I was going.
I feel a little more motivated right now.
Bull, honestly, I swear to you, when I see something that looks tragic, I'm always trying to find a silver lining. How can we make this good? Here's how we make this good. And I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this publicly or on the air, and I don't want you to commit to anything like that. I know you've tried everything. I know you have. My heart bleeds for you, Bull, because I see the pain in your face. I hate it for you. I've heard Bull say, I haven't been able to do it for me. I hope I can do it for Aaron. To me, as a parent who loves my children and my heart beats twice out of my chest, I know it does. Bull, maybe this is the thing. Maybe it is.
I beat myself up about my weight all the time.
I know you do.
I'm very hard on myself about it. I joke about it on the air, and I don't get offended when people make fun because that's just what it is. I bring it on myself. But thank you. I appreciate it. I actually have been on another diet plan for about 10 days, and I'm doing well. I just didn't bring it up because I've brought up so many diet plans on the air before, and I'm only mentioning it now. But I was extra motivated. Like when I went for my walk this morning.
You were thinking about Dawand.
I did double my normal walk that I've been doing.
Look, let's make something.
It's like I got to lose more weight than Dawand.
I want to do this before we move on. We're going to go on to the Cavs. Dawand, I want to do this publicly.
Yeah.
You have an invitation to come on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show anytime you want. It will not be a hostile visit.
Absolutely
We will
not.
treat you with all the love and respect that you deserve. Maybe we can have a conversation about an issue that's bigger than football.
Yeah.
Because it is. There are millions of Americans that are struggling the exact same way you are, Dawand and Bull, and many of our viewers are struggling. If we can make something positive out of this, then for me, the laughs and the jokes, which I really feel uncomfortable with, are good because something positive comes from it.
Absolutely.
So let's try to move it forward. Dawand, we don't have to talk football. We don't. We'll get to know you. We'll get to know your struggles. Our audience would love to hear your story. And absolutely no agenda, no mean-spiritedness here.
I got no.
You come in here, I guarantee you leave with 7 of new friends that you didn't have before you came.
Yeah. That would be
and
awesome.
My guess is you'll pick up thousands, tens of thousands of new fans in Cleveland that will hear from you and will embrace your story and become huge fans of Dawand Jones, like we are, because we are.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very talented football player, and I certainly hold zero ill will. He had every right to respond. I love that he responded, and that's all good.
We will make sure we send Dawand that clip directly. But, guys, we do have to talk and spend a good portion of today's show on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get to our first Cavs topic after a quick reminder that PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money back in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly. When you play $5, you don't even have to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game when you want. We're going to talk about this Cavs-Celtics matchup in length, at depth. But we're going to start very specific because this was the #1 takeaway from last night's 120-117 loss to the Boston Celtics. G, I want to start with you because you've been as hard on Darius Garland as anyone over the last year, 2 years collectively. But he shot 3 of 21 last night. Do you put the loss and the end of the Cavs' undefeated streak to start the season, on the shoulders of Darius Garland?
Woo!
That's a lot.
That looked crazy when you put it on the screen. Now, let me just say this, man. I don't want to be the Duke of knee jerk. Darius Garland was like the player of the week in the league in the Eastern Conference like a couple of weeks ago. He's been balling. He's been putting up 30. He's been doing his thing. He's been playing much better. So this is a one-game sample size. Did he play horribly? Yeah, he played trash. But I don't want to kill him and make it seem like, oh my gosh, Darius Garland's the weakest link again. I'm off the train of the Cavaliers. No, that's not where we're going with it. But I will say this: as I was watching the game. Boston is a difficult matchup for the Cavs. Their length, they have everything you need. They got bigs that can space the floor. Porzingis isn't even back yet. They're defensively. I was very impressed with what they were able to do defensively, switching off on different people. Jaylen Brown was getting to the rack every time you looked up. Pritchard and Hauser and their role players, Derek White hit big threes. And then obviously they still got Tatum. And every time they got close, they got the game down to 2 points, Tatum came back and gave them something. When you look at the matchups and you look at what the Cavs did last night, I thought they didn't have an answer for Evan Mobley. I thought at times Evan Mobley was the most dominant dude on the court, especially defensively, switching off blocking shots. I thought they got away from Mobley a little bit, 8 of 13. I would have liked to see him get the ball, 6 assists. He was high-low with Jared Allen. I thought he was dominant at times. I think they went away from him. Donovan Mitchell was Donovan Mitchell in the fourth quarter. He did what he did. When you look at these matchups, Darius Garland is going to be the linchpin if they can beat the Celtics. When you watch the games that he's played against the Celtics and he's getting 14, you look at the playoff series last year, you look at this game right here, he just looks like they're a little too physical for him. He has bad shooting nights. It looks like it's difficult to get to his spots. And that's going to be the difference in whether or not the Cavs can beat the Celtics or not. It's right. Darius Garland and what he's able to do. And last night was just another chapter in that episode. Not saying he can't get it together, but Kenny Atkinson is going to have to look at certain things and say, are we going to have to limit his minutes in certain situations, especially with certain guys on the floor?
Yeah, he's not the reason they lost. The reason they lost was they forgot how to play defense in the first half. I was watching it in total disbelief. The Celtics were doing to the Cavs what the Cavs have done to all of their opponents all year long.
Yep.
But they were doing it with less ball movement. The Cavs obviously have done the drive and dish and the swing, and they get it around at warp speed. Celtics did some of that, but they didn't really have to exert a lot of energy to get wide open looks. I'm not sure, Mike, I'm really anxious to get your takes on a lot of these things that happened that I saw last night. When they realized, oh, hell, we need to play better defense, we need to put more effort in, from that point on, the game was theirs. From a couple minutes into the second quarter, or the third quarter on, the Cavs outscored the Celtics by 18 points. They figured it out, which is good, because they're going to need to. But Darius Garland was awful. I'm not going to say that, I'm not giving him a pass, but it's a team sport. So, hell, if anyone else had made one more three-pointer, the game is tied. Yeah, Darius missed all 6 that he shot. And the other question that I have for you, Mike, on this, because again, I think I put it on the Cavs' lack of defense in the first half. At what point does a shooter stop trying to shoot his way out of a slump in a game? Because I kept saying, enough. I know shooters shoot. I get that. But at some point, they have to stop. And I think we surpassed that last night.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a specific number.
No, I know.
You get to this 15th shot attempt if you
it's
don't
like
have
you know
it
it when you see it, right?
Yeah, I thought Darius forced some things. I went back and rewatched all 21 of his field goal attempts this morning. I thought of the 21, 11 were good looks.
Okay.
He had 6 bad looks. And then 4, you could live with. He's kind of earned the right to kind of take those shots.
Okay.
That's 15 of 21 weren't bad looks. He just missed everything last night. And to G's point about Mobley, that I want Bo to chime in on this, when they made that third quarter comeback, they ran their offense through Evan Mobley.
100%.
And they started attacking Boston switches.
Right.
Part of the reason Garland in the first half and Mitchell too were playing so much isolation basketball and kind of like last year's Cavs as opposed to this year is that's what Boston wants you to do from an offensive standpoint. They switch everything.
Sure.
And when the switch is happening on defense, it slows down ball movement because at that point they just keep switching. You really don't run offense, and then there's 7 seconds on the shot clock. You go one-on-one. They make you take long twos because they're running you off the three-point line, and that's how you get 10 mid-range attempts in the first half from the Cavs last night, which is more than they average all game through the first 15.
I know it is.
So I thought they played right into what Boston wanted them to do. But Darius missed a ton of easy shots last night that he's made all season, and I'm not going to let one game erase the first 15. But I would say last night was equally as bad a performance from one player as the first 15 games were good. Like, there is no excuse for Darius to miss some of those bunnies, but the process was not horrible. The results
I know it's not a playoff game, but it kind of reminded me of that game John Starks had for the Knicks in the playoffs many years ago. I think it was in the finals.
It might have been.
He shot like two. Remember that game?
Yeah,
and just kept shooting.
John Starks against. It was against the Rockets.
Was it against the Rockets?
I think
it
was.
It's been so many years. But listen.
90.
It was a bummer.
4.
Last night was a major bummer. Not because it necessarily means anything for the rest of the season, because I still think they're a really good team. The major positive, obviously, was Evan Mobley. He was phenomenal. It was so But the thing is, the Cavs for 15 games were so much fun to watch. Yeah. They weren't fun to watch last night, besides Evan Mobley.
They were fun. It was the third, fourth quarter I enjoyed because it was a comeback.
Even then, Jay, they weren't scoring like they have all season. And I know Mike talked about it. Some of that's Boston. But, what's made them so fun is the ball movement.
Yeah.
I felt like we really saw very little of that. Even in the fourth quarter, it was just Donovan Mitchell taking over. And
he did.
I know he finished with 35. And if you think I'm wrong or crazy, Mike, fine. Let me know. But I didn't really think he played a particularly good game. He didn't move the ball very well. He missed some. What was he from the free throw line?
He missed 2 big ones in the fourth quarter.
Let me pull it up. I don't have that time.
He's got to make it. He's got to make all his free throws.
I just remember missing the 2 that were big.
Yeah,
in that situation.
Like every time they had it to 2, they couldn't make a stop. They couldn't make. You're right. The defense was awful. Oh. And again, I'm not taking this into bigger. I'm just looking at this one game. I think they're really good. I don't think this game makes them illegitimate or anything. Right. I'm not making a statement on the season for one day. And obviously, the Celtics have a lot to do with it. They're a championship team for a reason. And
they said as much after the game.
Yeah.
That they were ready for this. They were looking forward to it.
Course.
I had said on Channel 3 yesterday, they're going to get the Celtics' absolute best shot. It felt like a playoff game. The crowd was primed.
Yeah.
And I think they fed off that in the first half. But I'm with you. There are silver linings everywhere.
Yeah.
Is Garland going to shoot 3 for 21?
No, he was terrible, but I'm not going to blame
do that again.
Well, I look at it. You talked about the defense early on. I thought what they did defensively early on, they put themselves in a hole. Boston's shooting the most threes in the league. Shooting over 50 threes, right? So when you got a 3-point shooting team, the same way they ran you off those lines, I thought it was a lot of lazy closeouts on 3-point shooters. I thought there was a lot of guys where it's the dare you shot, like it's like one of those things like, it's the first 3 of the night. Are you really going to hit that? I'll dare you to shoot it. And then they knock it down. And when you got 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 3-point shooters, that's what the game they want. At this point, Al Horford is not putting the ball on the ground. At this point, he's going to sit behind the free throw line and 3-point line and shoot. Like Pritchard, that's what he's going to bring to the table. You can't let guys get comfortable. And I thought they let them get really comfortable on the road. And when you let Boston get comfortable, now the waterfall is coming down. And I thought they put themselves in a crazy hole with that.
That game reminded us how good the Celtics still are.
Right.
And who doesn't want to see that series for 7 games?
I think I still think that's our Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. I
do.
And the thing I'll give it to the Celtics, and they have the advantage over the Cavs with this. Jason Tatum on the post-game conversation, he says, how did you feel about this game? They come in and undefeated. He was like, we know they undefeated, and we know that they feel like they're the best team in the league. We feel the same way, but we done been through every type of game there is possible. Mm-hmm. And we done been through every slow games, tight games. You got to think before they won last year, the year prior, what happened? They lost to the Golden State Warriors.
But got valuable experience.
They got that experience. Then they came back. And they still going through adversity, right? Jason Tatum is still pissed off that he got no minutes in
he's playing with a grudge. You can tell he is.
Jaylen Brown is still playing pissed off that he didn't even make the roster.
I know.
So there's a bunch of people on that team who have access to grind and are playing with that edge and that chip right now.
Is Jason Tatum, by the way, now the guy you hate most as a Cavs fan?
Yes.
He complains about every play.
I know he does.
I don't like. Listen, Al Horford, he gets on my nerves.
But for me, it was Tatum. After Tatum scored a bucket, and I think the Cavs wanted a foul, he's not going to get a foul. You're not calling him for a foul in that situation. There was a clear arm extension. There was a push.
Are you talking about the push off on Niang to end the third quarter?
Yeah, and after
you're
it went
never
in,
getting that.
you know, he was like, you could tell he's like, get the F out of here.
Right.
And in that moment, he became my most hated athlete right now. In that moment, but he's deserved it. He's a great player.
Oh, he's a great player.
You said something that I want to dive on quickly. You said, the Celtics had to go through that NBA Finals series, lose, and get used to it. What we've seen from these Cavaliers is oftentimes the road to championships in the NBA. There's a progression that goes with it.
Absolutely.
They got into the play-in game a couple of years ago and lost. They got into the first round 2 years ago against the Knicks and lost. They advanced to the second round last year and lost to the Celtics. I believe they're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And if that sort of progression schedule holds, they may well lose to the Celtics. I believe in 2 years from now, we are looking at an NBA Finals team. And my hope is within 3 years, they hoist another trophy.
I mean, health is the thing.
Got to stay healthy,
That's
right.
it.
Yeah.
And the exciting thing, listen, there's no moral victories. The Celtics were the better team last night. The Cavs played well. They played great for the final 19 minutes of the game after playing lousy for the first, 29 minutes of the game. And it was a close game. But and although I don't believe in moral victories, what I would say is Evan Mobley, like the one question we had is this the new Evan Mobley, or is it only against bad teams?
And will it transfer to against the Celtics?
And against the best team in the league.
And it did.
He looked like a superstar last night.
He absolutely did.
An absolute superstar. And as long as he's that guy, which at this point I have every reason to believe he will be going forward, I agree with you. They're a championship contender as long as he's that kind of player for the next 4 or 5 years, whatever it is.
And let me say this about Donovan Mitchell. Like Jason Tatum had 33, Donovan Mitchell had 35. Here's what I love about Donovan Mitchell and why he's a closer. He understands the moment. Sometimes efficiency got to go. I remember Ty Lue telling LeBron at halftime of the championship game. LeBron James had, 21 points. He had about 7, 8, 9 assists and 9 rebounds. He looking at the stat sheet. And Ty Lue comes into the Game 7 against the Warriors. He comes to the locker room. He say,
I need more.
You got to do something. He looking at you like, what are you talking about? They yelling back and forth. He said, no, bro, you got to be LeBron. We don't care about all the efficiency. You got to guard Draymond, and you better come out here balling. The first 3 or 4 possessions, LeBron comes, gets a block. He comes out, hits another 3. Like, sometimes you got to realize, hey, ain't no help coming. And Darius Garland wasn't about to show up and start knocking down threes last night.
No, he wasn't.
So Donovan Mitchell's like, all this stuff, all that be damned. Give me the ball and let me figure something out. Jared Allen is off the floor because they needed floor spacers. And he's like, all right, well, let me feel the moment. And hopefully when you get it to 2, maybe you could keep your team in the game. They just didn't make no plays when they got down to 2.
They got it to 2, like 5, 6 times?
6 times.
And just couldn't get the tie.
I want to give you guys one little stat, and then we'll move on to our next Cavs topic. But according to ESPN Stats and Information, the Celtics, who shot 14 of 22 from 3 in the first half, 14 of 22, that is their best shooting half in the last 25 years, with a minimum of 20 attempts.
And here's the thing.
So
they needed every bit of that to beat the Cavs by 3 points.
A historic shooting performance with a historically bad DG performance, and the Celtics at home win by 3 points.
I love where the Cavs are moving forward.
We're going to get to that in a little bit. We're going to look big picture in a little
Yep.
bit. But one thing that was missing last night was a couple of the Cavs' depth pieces. And I want to ask you guys about that after I remind everybody that time is our most precious commodity. So don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering up more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and the history of the Constitution, and Introduction to Free Market Economics. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever, tune in wherever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or just enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That is hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. Hillsdale.edu/lockedon.
Do you know there's a Hillsdale grad in the house?
We do. Your nephew
played football for Hillsdale College.
There you go.
Baller too.
Running back. We talked a little about this
running
morning.
back. I watched him play at Notre Dame High School here locally. He's a standout star on offense, standout star on defense. His younger brother is currently at Holy Cross, where he suffered a terrible injury. I didn't know this. Tim Couch and I were talking a couple of weeks ago. And
Tim's kid plays at Holy Cross, too.
But I didn't know that, which is so weird because we had talked all through the fall. I just never brought up that Will was playing football at Holy Cross. And I told him, I said, yeah, we were talking about injuries. And I said, yeah, my nephew had a terrible ankle injury, having a great year. He said, oh, well, who's your nephew? I said, Will Robinson. He said, he plays at Holy Cross? I said, yeah. He goes, my son plays the defensive line at Holy Cross. So I'm like, wow, what a small world.
That's funny.
So last night against the Celtics.
Will's a beast.
Last night against the Celtics, the Cavs, who have had arguably the best bench in basketball through the first 15, 16 games of the season, were without three key pieces that they've had all year. And I put Strus on the graphic because he will be part of the depth. Obviously, he hasn't played this season, but they were without Levert, without Wade, and without Okoro. Two of those three were game-time decisions, just couldn't go. We'll see about their status tonight. Well, how much of a difference did you think it made for the Cavs not having some of those guys that they've had all season long in the rotation in this particular game against Boston?
I think it certainly made a difference, but you can't make excuses. I mean, the Cavs have played a lot of games this year where teams had guys out, much better players than the Cavs missed. But what has been one of the biggest strengths of the Cavs has been their depth. I mean, that's been one of the key things to the team. And while those guys might be the, 6th, 7th, and 8th best players on the team, they're important pieces. And it led to more minutes from other guys, which may have led to guys being tired. I thought, Darius was a little out of character. I thought Ty Jerome was a little out of character. Although I think the bench guys that played all played well. Craig Porter Jr. played well.
Porter played great, I thought.
He did an excellent job. But it just kind of changed the chemistry and the rhythm of how they've played a little bit. So it factored in. Now, to be fair, when we say, well, if the Cavs had made one more three or if the Celtics hadn't been historically good, they only won by 3. But if the Celtics hadn't been up by 20, they might have taken their foot off the gas a little. They might, if they'd only been up by 8, maybe they wouldn't have. So who knows how the game would have gone either way. But it factored in. But
I want to say this. Yes, it factored in. They're a better team with all those guys. However, Porzingis wasn't on the floor for the Celtics. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be pointed out. Why? We've made a huge point of talking about how Evan Mobley looked like the star we need him to be. Well, it's going to be a whole lot different when they play again later this year, and Porzingis is in the middle.
It's amazing they won the championship without him last year.
I'm stunned that they did. It almost speaks to, I don't want to dismiss their championship. Kudos to them, they won. But when you look at their route, they beat the Cavs. Now, the Cavs were playing without Jared Allen. They beat the Cavs in 5. They swept the Pacers, and they won in the NBA Finals in 5 games.
Yeah.
It was a relatively easy road for them.
I think part of it's that, but part of it is they're just really good.
They're great.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm not taking anything away from them, but it's not like you're going to look back at that and say, in 2016, you can make the argument that the Cavs' path to win the championship was the most difficult ever. Because to do it, they had to beat the greatest regular season team this league has ever seen and will likely ever see.
Well, but what about the rest of the path to the East?
But I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But you've got the behemoth standing there in your way. Yeah. And they, so I don't think anybody's going to look at the Celtics run last year and say, "Whoa, my God, what a run!" They beat the Pacers in the finals.
But then again,
in the East finals.
Going forward, I think that's going to be the case because
I do. Because to what Jason
no dominant teams.
To what Jason said, the structure of the NBA is different. Teams have to do it differently. But when Porzingis is back, what does Evan Mobley look like?
Yeah.
So I think it was a wash. I think we weren't at our best. They weren't at their best. We were missing different role players. They were missing a key starter that can really clog up and sort of slow down what Evan Mobley does.
So to me, this boils down to just consistency. Did this matter? No. The reason I say it don't matter is I just don't feel you can use injuries. You can't.
Right.
It's
not an excuse.
It's whoever you got on your roster at that point in time is who you got. So, we could say if they were playing, we'll put Porzingis back in 100% healthy, and it's a different game. And then you don't even know what the game looks like. I think, the Cavs do have some depth, but I like it like this. Like, I don't like the fact that you try to trick your way into anything. You got to go beat the champs, bro. I don't care who they played last year. They could have played Popeye and the Sailormen. Like, they beat Popeye and them. They got the championship. So
is that a team?
They could be. Like whoever they got and whoever what they did, they are the champs. I think that it comes down, and I don't want to diminish it and boil this down. Right now, we talked about it. I know what I'm going to get from Evan Mobley. To be truthful, I know what I'm going to get from Jared Allen. He's going to get you 12, 13, 14, and 11, and 12, whatever the case. I know what Donovan Mitchell is going to do. The only person I don't know what they're going to do from game to game against the Celtics is Darius Garland. Now, my question to Kenny Atkinson is, if they would have had those people involved, the Caris Leverts, right? The Isaac Okoros. Let me ask you this question, McNuggets. If he plays a game like that and he's 3 for 21, would Kenny Atkinson say, we need more, we need a spark. I'm gonna go with Caris Levert because he can get hot and give me 20. Or I'm gonna stay with Ty Jerome.
It's an option.
I'm gonna stay with Ty Jerome.
He did. I mean, he stuck with Craig Porter. Craig Porter probably played a lot more than they thought he would because he was playing well over Darius.
Isaac Okoro. Like, would Kenny Atkinson be like, well, listen, we need Isaac Okoro in this game.
Did Darius play badly against Boston last year in the regular season? I don't remember.
In the playoffs, he had. I think he had one game where he played very well, but he had some other games that didn't look that bad, but they looked bad.
I mean,
but they didn't have Donovan, right? Well, they did part of the series.
So we even expected it even more. So my thing is, yes, this depth plays a role. How is Kenny Atkinson going to use this depth? Is he going to say, look, if Darius is struggling, I got Fred and Craig Porter Jr., Ty Jerome, and Isaac Okoro?
I think he showed you that yesterday. Mike, what do you think about that?
I thought, to Bull's point, he played Craig Porter Jr. a lot more than he expected to, and Craig Porter Jr. went 3 of 3 from 3. And if he's going to go 3 of 3 from 3, you kind of let that ride. I think less than would Darius have gotten less minutes. I think late in the game when they had Niang in, and then Boston just immediately attacked that mismatch. That's either Wade or Isaac Okoro, which is a lot more difficult matchup to attack in isolation if you're Jaylen Brown. It certainly gives you more options. Levert's been awesome this season, and if he's playing at the level he had been, you probably ride with him a little longer, but Craig Porter Jr. was 3 of 3 from 3. 15 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Like, are you getting better than that? I don't know the answer, and the answer is maybe, but what you got from Craig Porter Jr. is like the peak of what you could hope for Craig Porter Jr. And Jim, we talked about on the postgame show, they used Craig Porter Jr. in the Isaac Okoro wing/guard screener role. And Porter Jr., because he was making threes, had the defense drawn out. He played awesome last night, and I don't think you can expect that. So I'm not sure if there would have been a drop-off from Porter playing at his top level to what you may have gotten from a Caris Levert, or if Dean Wade was able to play. So I thought they did a decent job, but more than anything defensively, those guys would have been able to help out more than I think offensively.
Rotation options are nice. I wanted to ask you about something that Stan Van Gundy said during the telecast, and I can't remember at what point he said it. I think he said it in the first half when it was like a 15-point lead, it was 61-46 or something. Stan Van Gundy said, sometimes this is the best thing for a new young coach, having a lot of success early. I agreed with that. I said, well, that's an eye-opener. It's a wake-up call. What do you think of that, Mike?
About Kenny Atkinson having this much success right away?
No, about like sometimes a smackdown.
Taking that L.
You learn more in losses than you do in wins.
Absolutely, I agree
100%.
with that. Yeah, and there's learning moments there.
He has pushed every right button, essentially, through the first 16 games of the year. I said it on the postgame show last night. If you want to go watch it, we had Jason on, we had G on. We did about 40 minutes. The first thing I think you can question Kenny on anything this season, because all these crazy, wonky, mad scientist lineups he's thrown out have worked, is in the fourth quarter. You went away from Evan Mobley from an offensive standpoint.
I agree with that.
He had 10 points in the third, did not take a shot in the first 11 minutes of the fourth quarter, and I think the only shot attempt he had was on a little tip-in putback in the fourth. I have some questions on why you went away from that.
What did you think about Niang's usage in the fourth quarter?
They had to go with spacing. They needed more spacing offensively.
So that was his only option, do you think?
Dean's out, and who else is playing? Craig Porter Jr. 6'1" on a good day. He can't play the floor.
I just felt like Boston immediately pounced on it, and That's where they won the game.
I think at
But
that point,
I get what you're saying. What are you going to do? You're out of options.
I mean, the other options on the bench, they only played 8 guys on the bench yesterday.
I know.
Porter Jr., Ty Jerome, so you could go with Jerome and put 3 guards in, and then they attack Garland.
Which they've done at times.
Which, by the way, Boston, what makes them so dangerous, and in the playoffs it's even exasperated and put a magnifying glass to even more, they'll find the matchup they like. Did I just make up a word?
Kind of.
You just used it wrong.
I'm used to it, though.
Exacerbated.
Yeah.
Not exasperated.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bull. They will find the matchup they like because they have 5 guys on the court at all times who can attack one-on-one, and they'll just keep attacking and hunting.
And now they found this big guy who's
and
serviceable.
You know what I didn't like, though, too?
Real quick, G, can I finish that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you wanted to, and this would have been a hell of a situation to throw some guys who haven't played yet into the fire, but that's where you have to hope Jalen Tyson can develop, and/or JT Thor or Luke Travers, 3 guys who made the trip, who were in uniform, who did not get off the bench last night.
Yeah. That's
where you have to hope that at some point throughout the season they can develop into a guy you can trust. Even in just a few-minute situations, they can be that fill-in 3/4 guy.
In that spot against that team?
No, I'm not saying I would trust it in that spot.
I know
that's
you're
what you
saying
hope
now,
later
but-
in the
well,
season.
Well, he better. So in basketball, like sometimes it boils. Like in football, any given Sunday. Basketball different.
It is.
Like the Celtics ain't going to just magically wake up and not be the Celtics. You're going to have to come up with something to make them change or give them some thoughts. And Jalen Tyson is a guy with that frame, his size, his athletic ability, is a guy you're going to have to develop. Listen, if it comes down to, hey, during the season, if you got to lose 10 games because you keep saying, nah, we're going to go to Evan Mobley in the 3rd and 4th quarter,
right,
and Jalen Tyson's going to figure it out this year. Like, I'll take the L's because it's going to help in the postseason when you actually need him. And the thing I was going to say, but I didn't like was, and I think they won the game because it is, our support guys, the Swiss Army knives, the guys that are coming off the bench. We had Ty Jerome versus Pritchard, right?
Yep.
They won that matchup last night.
They did win that last night.
They won that matchup
which
last night.
surprised me because
the scouting report on him is the scouting report. You cannot, I don't care how far he's back from the three-point line. You must guard that man and make him get into the basket, get to the hoop, and finish under length. So
we've made the point a lot of times this year of like everybody that's been on the court for the Cavs, you trust everybody.
Yeah.
Right? The Celtics are the same way. Everybody they put out there is really good. My concern about Luke Travers is he looks like he should be touring with Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, how can I trust that guy?
He's part of the Stash team, me and him, Stash Brothers. So
Mike, I just realized, looking at that picture, can we take that again, Steve? I can almost smell the Marlboro Lights. I can practically smell them.
Man.
Bro,
you look like you travel with half-used candy in your pocket.
One of those black ashtrays,
just
all the butts put out.
Like you have candy corn. You got.
That's worse. That's the worst thing anyone said about me today.
Candy
corn. That's where I draw the line.
Candy corn's gross.
You look
Disgusting.
like you got Boston baked beans in your pocket.
Yeah, it's bad. I'll have a clean shave face tomorrow.
Wait a minute. I have one more ask of you. Shoot. When is your pickup basketball night?
Well, we played Monday, and then I'm not playing Thursday because we have the Browns game. So.
Can you keep it till next Monday and just see what the guys at the gym
home.
think?
That's the issue. I'm not going to be allowed on the plane. I will grow the stash out again.
Are you going home now, not for Thanksgiving, huh?
We do an early Thanksgiving because my grandma doesn't like to travel on actual holidays.
That's smart. Time shifting. That's very smart.
Mm-hmm. So we do an early I'm back. I'm missing Monday, Tuesday. Next week I'll be back on Wednesday. And UCSS is live Wednesday and Friday. We have an Ultimate Cavs and Ultimate 216 on Thanksgiving. So we'll still give you guys plenty of content. One more Cavs topic to get to today, and it is brought to us by Z-Biotics, which is a pre-alcoholic probiotic drink, and it's the first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how to use it. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. Step 2, drink responsibly. And step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LockedOnNFL at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you are unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head over to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. Bull JG, the TNT guys said it after the game last night. I'm curious if you agree, but they all came to the conclusion that if there were any doubts that this Cavs team was legitimate contenders and threats to the Boston Celtics in the long run, not just a good regular season, but to potentially represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals this year, those thoughts should have been put to rest by their performance last night. They are 100% bought in that this Cavs start is not a fluke and this team is legit. Do you guys echo those sentiments now that we are 16 games into the season, the streak is over, and they have faced the defending champs?
Yes, I'm 100% in, and the number one reason is Evan Mobley, like I alluded to before. He is playing like a superstar. And I'm probably going too far. I've mentioned this reference before, but it was year 4 that Tim Duncan went from like good player to superstar.
Yeah.
If he could be anywhere close, maybe it's a silly comparison. I'm not a basketball expert, but I keep thinking about Tim Duncan. I don't know why. And you know, I mean, the way he played last night was amazing. They're not in this game without him. He carried them in the third quarter, and he's so aggressive. It's like he's a totally different player, and he's the reason that I believe they're legit. You know, everything else. The bench guys are going to be hot and cold. I'm not going to, like they've played great, but Evan Mobley has played great from the start of the season. He has taken his game up, not a notch, multiple notches. And because of that, I am 100% a believer that the Cavs are a legitimate NBA title contender this year.
I'm going to change where I was going with this. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to say that they are a legit title contender under one circumstance.
Oh, there's an if.
Yes, there's an if to this. That circumstance is the Cleveland Cavaliers must have home court advantage.
Interesting.
They must have the number 1 overall seed so that when they do see the Boston Celtics, they have that in their back pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And because I'm looking at 2 things. First of all, you're not getting no calls in Boston. I'm just be honest with you.
Well, that's the way the association
That's the way it works.
Think the call. Why, you thought the calls were unfair for the Cavs?
I'm just saying you're not getting those calls.
But I mean, that's the way the association is, and it always has been.
You're not going to get that.
You don't get those calls on the radio.
Second of all, I don't trust our role players aren't up to a high enough level where you can count on them giving you enough propulsion to get to the finish line on the road. Our guys, especially when we have our tier fringe starters, right? Like our fringe superstars. Like Darius Garland's a fringe star. Like at home he plays a certain way. On the road, it's a different thing. You don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Even to a certain extent, if Evan Mobley explodes and he does what he needs to do, right, on the road, what do he do? He give you 25. Like that's 25.
I get your point. I don't know. Maybe you're looking at it differently than I think Adam and I are looking at it. I'm looking at it like this. I think you're looking at it as the question is, can they win the NBA title? Or will they win the NBA title?
Yeah.
Can they? 100%.
Yeah.
They can. As constructed today, this team can win. Okay, so you play 4 games in Boston. I feel like they can steal one.
Yeah, sure.
After what I saw last night, we got a historically trash effort out of one of our stars. Mm-hmm. Now, you also can't assume that everybody else is going to play as well as they did.
Right.
Will Mobley play as well as he did once you get Porzingis in the middle?
But Donovan didn't shoot great.
No, he didn't, and I agree with your point, by the way. 13 of 29, that's an off shooting.
And Jared Allen didn't play a fantastic game. So
right. I agree with that. But so I don't think we're asking the question, will they win the NBA championship? No. I think the question was, are they a legitimate contender? And I have no qualifiers to that. I have no ifs to that. I've seen enough to say this team is a legitimate NBA championship contender.
I think the Celtics are clearly the favorites, and
I
they
agree.
deserve to be.
I agree.
And I think the Cavs right now are as good as anybody else.
100%.
They're right there. I mean, but the Celtics are going to be the toughest team to beat in the playoffs for anybody.
They are. But I think the Cavs will be a contender.
Yep.
I think they can. I like what you're saying about the home court edge. Look, you obviously like your chances of winning a series much more if you have home court advantage. But how many times have we seen in the playoffs the road team steals game one, and now all of your efforts for 82 games are out the window, and now you're backpedaling? So, I think the Cavs are okay. I think they are a contender. My biggest concern, so I guess this would be a qualifier and an if, and this I think goes for every team. They got to be healthy.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't have one of your front four tent poles go down for a significant amount of time, or worse yet, at the end of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You've got to be healthy when it matters most. And if they are, I think
they
we'll be
can
talking
win it
about
all.
the Cavs to the Eastern Conference Finals.
100%.
And yes, I would say that they have a legitimate chance to win it all.
Yeah.
Mikey, you agree with all that?
Yeah, I'm glad the game did not end how the first half went yesterday, because then there would have been all the doubters who come out of the woodworks and say, see, we told you it was fluky and this wasn't real. Yeah. And you could always make the argument that, just like we said on Monday about Sunday's game, did the Cavs start playing with their food and take their foot off the gas against Charlotte? You could say Boston may have done that, may have not. But the way they fought back, despite Boston's historical shooting performance, I think solidified to a lot of people who weren't believers beforehand that this team is legit. And I think it gives some validity that you can go toe-to-toe, despite not having your best game, against the defending champs. And I tweeted this last night, and I want your guys' thoughts on this, and we'll bring in Sean King, who is going to wrap up his segment with some Darius Garland thoughts. So we're going to save the DG stuff from Sean for the end. But when you go into the defending champ's house in an NBA Cup game, and you can say it doesn't matter, but it did, because they lost their first one. They admitted it was a game they knew they had to win.
They're in the driver's seat now.
Well, the Hawks technically are 2-0, so... But,
I'm talking between Boston and Cleveland. Boston now clearly has the edge with the win.
To go into the defending champ's house and beat them on their home court, you have to play an A game. Maybe not an A+, but you need an A game.
Right.
And I thought the Cavs played a C+, B- game in totality. And that may even be being a little bit generous, considering how poorly Darius played and how poorly they defended the three-point line. You're not going to beat Boston with a C+, B-.
Never.
And I'm curious, just real quick before we bring Sean in, how would you overall grade the Cavs' performance? Because I agree in the question, are they title contenders? Yes. But last night, what would you grade?
I would have given them a B-. I don't know if I'd go as low as a C+. And the only reason I say that is because they didn't quit. But to your point, maybe I'm okay with a C+, because, guys, I was staring at the TV in complete disbelief, watching them completely fall apart, particularly on the perimeter defense. But I know that under this coach, they've been more offensive-minded, but their defense has been good too. And I felt like they were playing a pickup game in the first half.
I think so I give them a C. And the reason I give them a C, obviously, we talked about Darius Garland. I think they went away from Mobley. We talked about that. I think Jared Allen played an average game. I wouldn't say it was an explosive Jared Allen game. I thought that they didn't really get what they were used to getting from Ty Jerome. So I gave them a C. But I think we have to look at it like this. The Boston Celtics are looking at us like the Cavs used to look at other people. Were the Hawks or the Toronto Raptors legitimate title contenders? Sure. But they were like, listen, we just beat this same team 4-1.
Yeah.
We just beat you in our house. We're 5-1 in our last 6 games. What makes you think we're going to be spooked by you? So the Cavs have to catch them.
What grade would you give the Celtics?
I would give the Celtics probably.
Take into account how well they shot the basketball. Historically high level.
Here, I'm a B. And the reason I'm going to give them a B is because, once again, I felt they let their foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought they would mask a lot of the stuff that they were letting happen was this 3-point shooting.
I agree with that. I'd give Boston a B.
They played really good defense.
And here's again, I'm finding silver linings. If you're giving Boston a B and they shot the ball at a historical clip, and you're giving the Cavs a C, which is fair, I guess, and we lost by 3, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a legitimate contender.
Right.
Go ahead, Mike.
Bull, did you grade him? If you did, I missed it.
I gave the Cavs a C as well.
See, awesome. All right, let's get a read. Let's bring Sean King into the discussion here. And our talk with Sean King today is brought to us by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out all the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll get to the Cavs-Pelicans preview later in the show, but now let's turn our attention to Sean King and the Cleveland Browns. What's up, Sean?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
We have to get you to comment on Mikey's porn stash. What do you give it?
It's bad, Sean.
I mean, it's November. Isn't that the month where you like?
No, it's not for No Shave November. He made a stupid bet. Look at that! Look at that mustache. Yeah. Would you let this guy? Would you let your kids go to this guy's house for trick or treat?
Put it like this: if Mike's walking around any public school, he's getting asked a lot of questions.
I don't disagree, Sean. Unfortunately, I don't disagree.
Oh my God!
Hey, why isn't it more energy on the show? Listen, y'all found your quarterback. You can't tell me you watched that Saints game and Jameis didn't look like one of the top 15 best quarterbacks playing the game of football right now. Forget the
but we also saw the game before.
I hope you're right, Sean. I don't know. You know more about quarterbacking than we do, but I don't buy he's the long-term answer for the Cavs for the Browns.
Sean, I blew a gasket. They was on here. They told me they got to go to DTR. I about fell out my chair. I said, oh, my gosh. He threw for 400, man. We was getting 152, 154, 136 yards. I said he threw for 400. What we doing here?
He's got Jerry Jeudy looking like an explosive downfield threat. He's got Elijah Moore looking like he deserves to get a paycheck.
It's the Browns. He's looking too good. They're going to get rid of him.
You got to be able to hone in on the things that you already have. And Jameis probably will take a Gardner Minshew type deal at the end of the season. 2 years, $25, $30 million. And now that allows you to go out and fix the real problem, which is all over the rest of the roster. Don't overlook how great of a performance Jameis just produced down in New Orleans because they lost.
Why only 14 points?
But we got to look at it the rest of the season, Sean. To be fair, he's played well against two of the worst pass defenses in the league in the Saints and the Ravens. He's playing some good pass defenses coming up with the Chiefs and the Steelers. Obviously, he's been better than Watson, and I got no problem if they want him to be the starter next year. But I'm just not. I'm not ready after 3 games, 2 that he played well, to say he's definitely the answer for the next few years.
I'm just getting in front of the parade because what I want you to do is start comparing him to what you see on all your other TVs on Sunday. Stop acting like everybody got a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Like Jameis is a top half of the NFL quarterback currently. From a talent standpoint, from a presentation standpoint, from what my eyes tell me, don't overlook now. That's not a position that got great players throughout the league. When you get one that's above average, which Jameis is above average, don't just be so dismissive of him being your guy. That's all I want. That's the big point I wanted to make today.
All right.
I listened to it, but Jason, who talks to folks in the organization, keeps telling us he is not the long-term answer. The Browns don't view him as the long-term answer. Listen, I agree with you. After seeing what we saw from our $230 million man, I know what that looks like. And I do want to point out, I think Bull's right. I want to see what he does against these good pass defenses because he hasn't seen one yet. When he faces Pittsburgh,
well, yeah, he did. He did the Chargers.
Well, and it didn't end well for him. Yeah. So, how do you explain the Chargers' performance? And I think it's important to point out what you're saying is you might be looking for the queen of the ball when there aren't a lot of queens of the ball. There's 2, maybe 3, and if you can be blinded looking for something you're never going to catch when you might have had something perfectly serviceable in your hands all along.
Absolutely, and to the point about the Chargers, man, they had people thinking Joe Burrow sucked at halftime. Did y'all see their first half against the Bengals?
Yeah, but I saw the
Yeah,
second
but how
half,
about
too.
the second half?
And you know what? Jameis don't have a Jamar Chase. He don't have a T. Higgins.
Fact.
So you got to keep things in context now.
All right.
He's not throwing to a top half of the league wide receiver group.
Yeah, no,
That's
true.
fair.
Well,
That's fair.
here's the thing, Sean. Sometimes you got to give these dudes the medicine. You're not getting a quarterback. You don't have the assets to get one.
Yeah, how
You're
you gonna get one?
You don't have the money to get one. So you might as well just stop.
You might have a draft pick to get
You
one.
might have a draft pick, but you're going to have to compete with the Raiders, the Giants, and guess what? The Browns. Yeah, I mean, they would probably have to lose. They probably have to win at least one more game. That's all they can win before they would be.
They'll
in
be
contention.
underdogs in every one of their remaining 7 games.
So if you don't have the number 1 or the number 2 pick, because them quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shador Sanders is going 1-2. If you don't have that pick, there's nothing to get it with a quarterback.
You know the most encouraging thing I heard you say was I think Jay said that nobody in the building thinks that Jameis is a long-term answer. That is music to my ears because I don't think anybody in the building knows what the hell they're looking at when it comes to the quarterback position.
Completely fair.
So the fact
That is fair.
that they don't think he's that. Hey, that's the best thing I heard on the show yet.
Yeah, but they're the ones that are going to ultimately make the decision. And we've lived with
It
all
might
of
be
their
taken-
bad decisions.
It might be taken out of their hands. Here's why I would caution the Browns. You gave up, obviously, too soon on Baker. Baker is getting it done in Tampa without Mike Evans, without Chris Godwin.
I know.
Now, they're not winning, but he's looking like, man, he should be on the MVP ballot. Like, he looks like a top 5. Now, he can't win it, but he looks like he should be in the conversation. Don't make the same mistake twice. I'm just saying. I keep telling NFL teams, I keep yelling it from the Himalayas. This year's quarterback class, and I think Shador and Cam are talented. Neither one of those kids would have went before Caleb or Jayden Daniels last year. So it's not as
Caleb's
good of a
not playing
class
well.
as it was last. Right. So
Yeah.
you just got to be careful. And Shador game is very similar to Caleb game. Runs around, makes a lot of plays off of broken. He's just not as good an athlete. He doesn't have as good arm talent. So just be careful in. Yeah, just be careful thinking that. And you've seen Cam. Cam is. I mean, if y'all get frustrated with a quarterback, but Cam gonna make you laugh and cry at every game. Like
Yeah.
he's talented, but
I know.
I'm looking.
It's
hey,
feast or famine.
Sean, I'm like right now. I'm looking through all the quarterbacks. I'm like, can I make a case for there being less than 16 quarterbacks that I'd rather have than Jameis? And there is
absolutely you can. I know.
no.
I don't just come on here for shock value.
No, but I'm
guys,
saying-
I watch all of these guys play. I watch all 22 for every offense in the National Football League. I'm not making this up. Jameis is a top half of the NFL quarterback right now.
All right,
Don't
but I'm gonna-
mess this up.
Bull,
guys.
give us 3 names that are better than him.
I'm going
Give
to
me
give you
them names. Give me them
16
names.
quarterbacks I'd rather have than Jameis.
All right, here you go.
Now, there's not 32, certainly.
Okay.
There might not even be 20, but
All right.
16 quarterbacks I'd rather have than Jameis Winston. 1, Burrow. 2, Jackson. 3, I hate to say it, but Baker Mayfield. 4, Jared Goff. 5, Sam Darnold. You buying that?
Nope. I'm not
No,
taking Sam
Darnold got to
Darnold.
do it more. Darnold got to do it more. If you're not going to
But wait a second. Jameis has done it 3 games.
Well, Jameis also threw for 5,000 yards once upon a time.
5,000.
But he threw 30 interceptions that year.
I mean, he's threw for
and
4,000
30 plus
2 years too.
touchdowns.
Sam Darnold thrown 20 touchdowns this year.
Okay, this is sure.
All right.
Hey, listen.
Okay, fine.
Throw-
All right, you
throw
don't want to
Sam
take that
Darnold out.
one. So we still got 4.
No.
I'm with them.
got
Darnold's
5.
still unproven.
Okay.
So
Darnold off the
you've
list.
I don't
been
know how-
overruled.
Darnold's out of here. We've
Jameis
overruled
hasn't
you.
had a starting caliber season in 6 years, but okay, fine. 4 years, whatever it is. Josh Allen, 5.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins, 6.
Okay.
You haven't
Jared-
mentioned Mahomes.
I'm going based on the touchdown rankings, right?
Oh, okay.
You would not take Kirk Cousins at 50. What is he making? Well, what's Kirk's contract?
Well, we're not factoring in money. I'm not factoring in money. I'm just talking about on the field.
But
I would take
Sean's
Jameis
saying all
over
of it
Kirk right
matters.
now. And I would
Well,
take Jameis over
I'm
Kirk.
just talking about who guys I'd rather have as my
Okay.
quarterback.
And he's
Not
saying
like-
regardless of money, he would still have Jameis over
okay,
Kirk.
fine. Is that you guys agree with him on that?
That's
That was rather
borderline.
Jameis.
That's borderline.
Kirk Cousins has been a Pro Bowler for like
That's
most of the
borderline.
last 4 years. That's
I
come on.
I would lean on Kirk Cousins. Go
Okay.
ahead. I would lean.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. Jordan Love 7.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes 8.
And
You wouldn't take him over Jordan Love?
not yet. Jordan Love got to prove he can be available. He's been hurt the whole time.
He has
I don't
been
know how
hurt a
much
lot.
Green Bay tape y'all watch, but I'm not saying he doesn't have a huge upside.
But that's what I'm
just
saying. I'm just saying if I'm a team,
Right.
I'd rather have Jordan
We'll give you
Love.
Jordan Love. That's what, 8?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4,
8.
5, 6,
Our
8.
official counter.
Patrick Mahomes 9. Bo Nix.
No.
No.
Not yet. Not yet.
Hey,
Trending in that
Are
direction.
you guys serious right now?
Trending in that direction, yes.
He's a rookie. He's thrown 14 touchdowns with
How many interceptions?
With a 6 with a worse wide receiving core than the Browns
It's
have.
interesting. His touchdown to interception ratio is exactly what Jameis's is. 7 to 3,
you guys
14 to
are
6.
all in right
They're
He has
identical.
4 rushing touchdowns if you want to add that too.
Guys,
Adam,
let me ask you this question. Here's the simple answer. If you went to every GM in the NFL and asked them, you want Jameis
Yes.
or Bo Nix? Who they take?
No. Because of age, they take Bo Nix.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
part of who
I'm
you'd
not
rather
taking-
have.
Adam Bull, if you were in Game of Thrones, you'd be Lord of the Reach.
That's not a reach at all.
Okay, wait, Sean, are you willing to
No,
concede Bo Nix? I'm on the fence.
No,
with Bo.
because-
I just need to see more.
No, here's why.
He's got no talent around him. He's been great as a rookie. No talent around him.
Neither does Jameis. Here's why. What would Bo Nix be outside of Sean Payton? See, I always have to remember when you're dealing with Sean Payton, he's one of the best in the business, really. When it comes to designing offense, when it comes to being quarterback friendly. So I'm not taking anything away from Bo. I think Bo's having a really good rookie year.
Let's concede that for the sake of this discussion.
Bo Nix.
We'll give
But
you
Sean,
Bo Nix. How many do you have now?
Peyton had Jameis and didn't even want to start him, though.
That's fine.
No, he did start. He got hurt.
Matthew Stafford.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stafford's older, but
Stafford the baller.
I'll
Stafford the
still
baller.
take
Justin
Stafford.
Herbert, Brock Purdy, Kyle Murray, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, C.J. Stroud. You
many
take
is that?
all those guys.
okay. Well, how many? Is that?
I'm not gonna be honest
15.
about like a couple of those guys you said because
Yeah.
it's a whole nother show.
You look like you passed out when you say Kyler Murray. Your blood pressure was building.
Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
Man.
Jalen Hurts.
Hey, listen.
Whew.
Hey, I haven't done it yet because I've got so much love for the kid because he's such a good dude. But man, just from a pure passing standpoint, he's been awful this year.
I agree with
They're
that.
playing good around him, and his legs have bailed him out, and he's had some good fourth quarters. But if you're just grading like what he should be doing in the past, I'm telling you,
Got a
it's
hell of a
coming
safety
quick.
net, too, in running back.
AJ Brown gonna blow up one of the games. AJ Brown is gonna lose his mind one of these games soon. I'm telling you, on live TV. He's gonna pull an Antonio Brown.
Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
I'd take
Baller.
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baller.
Yeah.
We're at 16.
I'd take Tua.
No, I wouldn't take Tua.
No,
Part of the
no.
availability thing.
Okay.
No.
I wouldn't take Trevor Lawrence. I think he stinks. Dak. I know he's having a bad year, but he's been a much better quarterback.
Oh man, are you being
not
serious
this year.
right now?
Not
Who's had the better career? Not even close.
We talking about right now.
Now, let's
Right
put
now, he's played 3 games.
The Cowboys look better with Cooper Rush.
I wouldn't go that far. My God, I had to turn
I'm
off
not
the game.
saying Cooper. I'm not saying Cooper Rush is a better player, but the offense looked better versus the Texans. Or the yes, was it Monday night? Then they had with Dak in weeks.
I don't know. They look pretty shitty.
Dak threw 36 touchdowns to 9 picks last year.
Yeah, last
I mean,
year
come
he
on.
was MVP caliber player.
4,500
You know, I
yards.
think it's important to point this out. This year, in 3 starts, he's averaging 300 yards a game. He's got 7 touchdowns and 3 picks, and we had talked about his touchdowns has been his
2 to 1.
bugaboo. If you can get us to a 2-1, that's serviceable. You can't be where you were when you had 5,000 yards and you had 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. That's
Right.
not going to fly. But if you can throw 30 touchdowns and 15 picks, but you're getting 4,500
But
yards.
he's never done that.
Well, what I'm saying is he's in the 3 games that he's been here,
Yeah.
he's averaged 300 yards, and he's over a 2-to-1 touchdown to pick ratio.
I know, but let's be honest.
It's small.
There's been about 4 or 5 interception drops.
One big one.
You know, come on.
Yeah,
Hey,
one
listen. Well,
huge
that's on them to catch the ball.
Listen, Jameis, I think, has played well, and I agree. I get where Sean's coming from. Like, I don't think he's far from their biggest problem, and I'm good with him being like, if the transition quarterback. But in no way do I personally see, and again, I acknowledge Sean knows way more about quarterbacking than I am, but no matter how much you know, you're not always right? You know, I don't see Jameis as the quarterback for the next 6-7 years. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
And I hope I'm wrong, Sean, and I hope you're right, because I'd love for the Browns quarterback situation to be solved.
You don't sound like it. You don't sound like it. You're anti-Jameis. That's okay. If you're not doing nothing if you don't got haters. I get it, man. Look,
hey, Sean, I look at it like this. My biggest issue with the game was, for this whole year, we've said it was the quarterback, right? And the quarterback play has been horrible. But here's my problem. You just saw a quarterback have 107.9 or some crazy rating, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 400 yards, and your team still lost 35-14. Half of the reason that there's a lot of apathy in the building is because now you have to connect dots. And now you have to now transition to things you don't want to transition to. And nobody in this market wants to transition into saying, we might not have the coach or front office for the job.
That's not true. We've been saying that crazy this week. What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about there's a lot of different people that would rather tune it out. They're like, no, it was a bad year. This is what's coming. Listen, I mean, it was just a bad year. And we all have bad years, and it just, the whole Watson thing kind of destroyed everything, and it put a sour taste in our mouth, and we got boat raced the whole year. Maybe if they just keep everything in continuity, and we'll be okay. That's what's coming. That's the apathy you're tasting.
You're allowed bad games, not bad years.
You can't survive a 2 and 17 year. You just can't.
Let me ask a question. If Patrick Mahomes was a quarterback of the Browns, and that was the only thing that changed, are the Browns a good football team?
Yeah.
Yes.
No way, no how.
They're better than 2 and 8.
Y'all got. Yeah, but
tell me Patrick
again,
Mahomes isn't worth
if Mahomes,
one more win? 3 more wins?
If Mahomes comes with Andy Reid, no.
Well,
if Mahomes comes by himself with this play, with what we got, no. They're not changing.
What do you think? They have the same record?
No, they'd be better.
They'd be better.
They would be better.
Patrick Mahomes is worth 3 wins. I think
they'd be a playoff team, probably.
Okay, then you're 5-5 and you're in the hunt.
So you're 5-5 in the hunt, right?
Yeah.
And that's with the best quarterback in the league.
Right now, I'm thirsty for 5-5 right now. I'll take it.
By the way, if we're talking right now, Patrick Mahomes is not the best quarterback in the league. It's
Patrick
Lamar
Mahomes
Jackson.
is having probably his worst year as a pro.
Yeah.
Not probably. Not probably.
If we're talking right now, Jameis Winston, then right now Lamar Jackson's the best quarterback in the NFL. Although, if we're really saying right now, he actually had his only bad game of the year last week. So I guess Josh Allen's now the best quarterback.
And by the way, that's
now.
the same defense that Jameis is going to see tomorrow
That's
night.
right.
And Pittsburgh's really good now. So don't forget the context on this. It's not like Jameis has top half of the league personnel around him on offense. I thought the O-line had their best game pass protection-wise from an assignment standpoint. It's the first time I watched the game and people weren't just running free, but there's no semblance of a run game at all. Like, it doesn't exist. So the defense obviously had never seen Taysom Hill at quarterback for the Saints and prepared for that package. The special teams, I don't know if they ain't showed up in weeks. So, I mean, the Browns have issues, like legitimate big-time issues that far, in my opinion, should be higher priority than the quarterback. Because I'm just saying, Jameis, you can get in the playoffs and win games with Jameis at quarterback. For context, let me say this, guys. When I came on, you guys were talking to Cavs. And I asked Mike to let me, just ask an opinion on something.
Yeah, weigh in.
If Darius Garland is your second best scorer, do you really have a chance to win an NBA championship?
No. No, I don't think you do.
They've got to
I don't
go out.
think he has to be
their
second best scorer. It should be Evan Mobley.
Is it Evan Mobley? But the problem is the way they run their offense. Like Garland has the ball, Mitchell's gonna have the ball. Like, how does Mobley guarantee his attempts? Like where he gets looks and shots. The basket gets crowded because you got the big guy down there with him. I think they need to make a move, whether it's for Zach LaVine or somebody of that ilk that can just score. I think they got to get one more scorer to go next to D. Mitch if they really want to win it.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
Mikey's shaking his head back there, and we defer to Mike on all our basketball.
I hope
knowledge.
Jameis can play a playoff game because he's never played one before.
Well, that was a
You are a hater.
Actually, that's
You a
untrue.
hater.
He was the backup on the Saints. He threw one pass.
Petty
You
LeBoul
are a
strikes
hater.
again.
Hey, all I know is he was the quarterback of the Buccaneers. He had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, two great receivers. Next year, Tom Brady took him when they won the Super Bowl.
Sean, he's so blinded by this that he just completely missed your
Sorry,
entire
I missed you,
calf
Darius
tape
Garland.
and took us on a pivot back to the
I think you can win with Darius Garland
as your second best scorer.
Yeah,
I'd like it to be Evan Mobley. If I could draw it up, that's the way it would
Yes, I agree.
I think there's some validity to Sean's point.
look. Yeah.
You know, in against certain defenses, and the Celtics could be the perfect example of it.
Yeah.
It is a tough matchup for an undersized guard who isn't an elite athlete.
Who
But I'm
continually
not-
went to the rim last night despite the fact he kept getting shots blocked.
Yeah, and you know,
By Al Horford.
missed
Sean,
a bunch of.
What are you doing?
Sean, who's your favorite basketball team?
Oh, I'm home team all the way. I'm Orlando Magic. I'm Magic, Rays, Tampa Bay Lightning, Bucks. I'm from St. Petersburg.
Dude,
I roll with the crib.
The Rays are going
Shout
to be
out to
playing.
Paulo Banchero.
Rays are going to be playing in the minor league stadium this year. That's kind of crazy.
It kind of fits. I think they averaged 14,000 a game last year. The stadium holds 11. Man, it's gonna look packed.
It is. You're right.
If there's one team that probably can do that, it's them because of their attendance.
They made a trade. They traded their starting center fielder for a relief pitcher yesterday.
Jose Siri. Yeah, I
And
saw that.
and
I
you
saw
know that relief pitcher is now going to become a stud for Tampa Bay because that's what they do every time.
He'll get hurt, though.
The only
true.
problem with playing in that stadium is I can't imagine how many weather delays and
Oh man,
It's going to be.
oh man,
It'll be insane.
rescheduling they're gonna have
In July?
It's gonna be awful.
Yeah, it's going to
gonna
be
be awful.
very interesting to watch that whole thing play out.
right,
Sean,
thank
you're
you,
the
Sean.
best, brother.
Hey, your Cavs 15-1, great start. Don't get caught up in the start. Look at what they need to win it all. You got to get one more elite score. I'm telling you, you can't
All right.
depend on Darius Garland.
Will we see you next Wednesday or no?
Absolutely.
All right, then I'll tell you Happy Thanksgiving then.
Facts. I might even have on a turkey outfit. Who knows? Jameis goes out and upsets the Steelers on Thursday night, man. I might have a whole full
There you
Jameis
go.
Winston, like Bessemer, Alabama high school jersey or something.
Wear your
We'll figure
old
it
Bucks
out.
number 10 jersey. That's what I want to see.
All right. Well, hey, shout out to the best non-power 5 in college football, too. We're going to beat Army in the AAC title game. We're going to get in the college football playoff. We're going to make some noise. Roll waves,
Nice.
baby.
Tulane's making waves. See what I did there?
Oh, man.
That's right.
I like
Hey,
that.
man, you got to go.
All right,
man.
fellas. Have a great week.
Peace, bro.
Later,
Yeah.
Sean.
Hey, you know that
We
you know that
turducken in for next week.
You know that Tampa Bay
turducken.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers jersey do not fit Sean King right now.
Yeah.
That is
No.
not.
I was not going to be the one to say that.
Well, that's why I said I wanted to see him in it.
I was waiting for you to say
You
that.
were on time out, buddy.
When Sean, I remember I covered him his rookie
Yeah.
year. He was this undersized, kind of not. I don't want to say thin, but he wasn't
Yeah,
stout
sure. Right.
by any stretch of the imagination.
He's a grown man, and he's a grown man right now.
He's grown into his adult body very well.
All right, guys, we're going to stay on the Browns
love
because I
Sean.
have an interesting trend I want to bring to your attention. And we're going to do it after Prize Picks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike on other apps with Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly just by playing $5. You don't even have to win to receive the bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game when you want. So, guys, there's an interesting trend with the Cleveland Browns dating back to 2018.
By the way, before you finish the thought, I got to just say, my wife reminded me recently of when I was dressed for Halloween last year and I was wearing a mullet and like an undershirt, and we had Mary Kay on, and she had a hard time answering any questions because I looked so ridiculous.
Right.
That's kind of how I feel with Mike right now. It's hard to take him seriously
I
with
can't
that
even look
ridiculous
at it. I
mustache.
stopped looking
It's
at
hard
it.
every time he talks. I'm like, look at this freaking mustache. It's absurd.
It'll be gone tomorrow.
Bobby Valentine. It's Bobby Valentine.
Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
So there is an interesting trend that I found on Twitter that I went and researched and confirmed. But, Steve, you take this full here. If you look at the last, or not the last, but 6 of the last Browns coaches, they have all been fired following losses to Pittsburgh. Romeo Crennel in 2008, Eric Mangini in 2010, Pat Shurmur in 2012, Chudzinski in 2013, Mike Pettin in 2015, and Hugh Jackson in 2018. They all lost following a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Outside of Hugh Jackson, weren't all the rest of them the last game of the year?
Some of them were, yes.
Oh, not all of them?
Not all of them, no, but some of them were.
All right.
So that then sparked a question in yesterday's media availability to Kevin Stefanski just about whether he hears any of the noise about him potentially being on the hot seat, this trend with the Cleveland Browns and head coaches after playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, etc. Here's the question and the answer from Kevin Stefanski, courtesy of the Browns.
You grew up listening to WIP.
610 WIP.
You're 2-8. Your name's shown up on hot seat lists in the media. How do you feel going into this stretch Pittsburgh, Denver, Pittsburgh?
I think probably because I grew up listening to that, I'm smart enough to not worry about outside noise. I get that's part of this gig. That's life in the big city. My sole focus is getting this team ready to get a win on Thursday night. That's it.
So, A, do you buy the fact Kevin Stefanski completely blocks out all the outside noise? And 2, Bull, if he loses to the Steelers on Thursday, could that be the last we see of Kevin Stefanski on the Browns sideline as a head coach?
I'd be surprised if they fire him midseason. I guess anything's possible, but I'd be surprised if they fire him even if they lose this week. Am I buying that it doesn't affect him? Of course it affects him. Whenever said, like I said before, I don't care when people say fat stuff about me anymore. I'm kind of used to it. And that's 99% true, but there's always going to be a little part of you that's bothered by anything negative. Sure, but you mostly deal with it and it mostly doesn't matter. And he's probably the same. He gets it. Now, in his case, if he got fired, he's still getting paid. He's got guaranteed money for however many years they signed him to extension, so he's fine. I know Jason and Ben Axelrod seem to think he's going to get a job in 2 seconds. I'm not as convinced as they are. But maybe. So yeah, but there's nobody's immune to it. I don't believe that. I'm not saying he's panicking about it, but I don't think anybody's immune to what's going on around them. I don't buy that at all.
He's well aware. You know what it is.
He's aware.
Yeah.
Well aware.
There's look. He's a smart guy. Yeah. He knows what his record is.
Yeah.
You don't need anybody to tell you that at 2-8. I don't care if you're a 5-time NFL Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
At 2-8. When you've underachieved as massively as this team has, and your career record now is hovering above 500 by 1 game, and I know we show the 1-2 playoff record, he's 0-2. I don't give him the playoff win. I don't give him credit for that. He wasn't on the sidelines. He wasn't calling plays. I'm sorry, I just don't. It was his team.
Right.
But it wasn't.
He didn't coach the game.
He wasn't there. How can you get a win for something when you're not even in the building? So I don't give him credit for that. He's 1 game over 500 as a body of work. He knows what time it is, but I also think he is smart enough to not worry about that. You can't change that. That's hay that's in the barn.
Right.
Yeah.
What you can do is get your team ready to play against Pittsburgh, and Kevin is doing exactly that. Can he lose his job? If they show lack of effort tomorrow night and they are blown out by Pittsburgh, I think it is a very real possibility that he loses his job.
Yep.
And the reason there may be more urgency for Jimmy Haslam to act now is because who's in the wings. Every offseason, there's between 7 and 9 NFL jobs that come open on Black Monday, which is the day after the season ends. And these coaches get their walking papers. Kevin Stefanski will absolutely be in line for one of those 7 to 9 jobs.
Yep.
He will be. He's going to be hired by someone in the NFL. And quite frankly, I think he can do a wonderful job if he gets to a team that isn't toxic, like this team. But Jimmy might fire him if he sees lack of effort and a blowout, because the last 6 coaches Jimmy has fired, or not Jimmy, that the organization has fired, have been fired after losses to Pittsburgh. So maybe it is Jimmy. I don't know if Jimmy's fired all 6 of those or not.
When did Jimmy take over?
10. Is this 11 years?
12th year, right?
12?
So that would have been 2012.
2012,
so not all of them.
So 4 or 5 of them
Yes.
have been fired after Pittsburgh losses.
Correct.
So, it's a distinct possibility. And also, it's because Mike Vrabel is also going to be a leading candidate for those 7 to 9 jobs in early January. And you might want to beat the rush, and you can name Mike the interim head coach if you fire Kevin Stefanski. And you can even do a deal with him immediately where he's not just the interim.
He's the regular
You say
coach.
today we fired Kevin Stefanski, and for the next 4 years we'll again be paying 2 head coaches.
Yeah.
We'll be paying Kevin Stefanski to do nothing, and we'll be paying Mike Vrabel because we have named and signed him to a contract extension. So there might be some urgency to get that done so he doesn't get off to another team.
Now, to be fair, Mike Vrabel's coaching record is not amazing. It's better than Kevin
Very
Stefanski.
similar to Kevin Stefanski.
He's 9 games over 500,
Yes,
which
very-
was what Stefanski was coming into the season.
Right.
And
Life comes at you quick.
And he's 2-3 in playoffs. It's an odd picture. And he had some teams that did really well in the regular season and then flamed out in the playoffs.
Yes, very similar to
So-
Kevin Stefanski's body of work.
Here's why those Steeler games are usually the graveyard of head coaches. First and foremost, the Cleveland Browns are measured against 2 organizations. The old Cleveland Browns, which are the Baltimore Ravens, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. When the Pittsburgh Steelers, year after year, it doesn't matter who the heck they play, who's at quarterback, they always have a certain floor. The Cleveland Browns have no floor.
And that floor is 500.
That floor is 500. The Browns have no floor. We could go from Super Bowl contending team to 2-something. And when you're the owner and you happen
Or 0-something.
and you happen to be we're around that organization and a part owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's the equivalent of your brother embarrassing you at the family reunion. Mm-hmm. And no rich person wants to be embarrassed. As a person, these guys' egos are out the wazoo. These are the 32 most important, or not the most important, but the biggest jobs and businesses in the world. And you can't even buy your way into one just because you got money. You got to be invited, and everybody got to vote on it. So when you get embarrassed at the family reunion by your cousin or your brother, your heads are going to roll when you get back home.
And he used to work in there.
And he used to
as a part
live
owner.
there. He was a part owner. So if they come out here and look bad, they come out here and look disinterested, they come out here and have a bunch of penalties, they get blown out. And the third thing that hits him in the face was, why is it that we don't talk about this? The first person who had the worst contract in the history of mankind and a team had to pay to get rid of them was Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They took the worst contract in history that we thought it's the worst contract we've ever seen. And you know what they did? They put them right in there with after a retread with Justin Fields, who also played well for them and had a record that looked better than the Browns did. And they turned their reclamation project into
8-2.
8-2.
Looking at home field.
And now we get the second worst contract in the history of mankind. And we turn our 11-win team first round playoff to 2-8. So it's staring you right in the face like, hey, they make a move, everything turns to gold. We make a move, and it's just, ain't it funny? 2-8 and 8-2. The exact opposite of your twinning. And that's the reason people get mad and people get fired after the Pittsburgh Steelers game, because Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter.
Last 58 matchups. How many wins did the Browns have? Last 58 times they've played.
I'd say it's in the teens.
58, 6.
No, it's not that bad.
Not quite that bad. The Browns are up. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'm going to talk this out loud. I made a Mike Tomlin bio graphic, and Tomlin's only lost 6 times to the Browns since he's been the head coach. So he's been the head coach since 2008, right? 2008, 2007?
Something like that.
I'm going to guess 12, Bull. 12.
Close. 11, 46, and 1 tie.
So what's the damning thing about
matches.
that is it's not just any team.
Right.
It's the hated team.
Right.
And so when you are, and we are the antithesis of them. They're always good, always buttoned up, getting more out of players than they should, and we are always bad, never making and winning playoff games, and getting less out of our stars than we should.
Right.
We are the antithesis of our rival. And the owner is shooting blanks trying to fix it. Like, okay, fire Stefanski. Stefanski, in my opinion, will go on to another organization and have wild success. We've seen that movie before. But
Well,
it's
have
not
we?
Well, with Belichick. And I
that's
know that
not
was
fair.
not Jimmy,
He
but
didn't get fired.
We mean Cleveland fans. We
Yeah,
have
right.
seen
Okay,
that
yeah,
before.
Yeah.
We have seen players leave here because they're told you're not wanted, you're not good, and go on and have success in other places. We're used to all of that. But this is why I've lost hope. We've done this wash, rinse, repeat with this owner 4 times.
Yeah.
He's never gotten it right. And even when we thought he got it right, it was still screwed up by outside forces. Maybe that outside force is you saying we need to get Deshaun Watson. At all cost, we need to get him in here. That imploded your franchise and set it back a minimum of 5 years, possibly longer. First round draft pick currency, I don't care where you're picking in the first round, you can't go without that for 3 years and have any kind of success unless you're the St. Louis Rams and you're hitting on 3rd rounders like Williams and 5th rounders like Nakua.
No, I don't.
Well, that's currency. That's how you stay.
If Watson had been what we thought he was going to be, then it would have been fine. They would have been worth it.
Bull, that's a huge if. But now let me ask you.
It didn't seem like a huge if at the time.
I'll counter that by saying this. Is the quarterback the only problem with this team? Our quarterback threw for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks. We scored 14 points and lost by 3 touchdowns. We are deficient. I know, but what I'm saying to that is, we are deficient in a lot of other areas because we have been 3 years without a first round draft pick.
But none of us were saying that last year when they won a ton of games with no quarterback.
You know what? I wasn't either. We were fooling ourselves.
Well, I think the reality of the Browns is not as good as it was last year and not as bad as it is this year. It's probably somewhere in between. The bottom line is, it's not just that you lost. That's a big part of it, giving up the 3 first-round picks. The biggest part of it is that you got the wrong guy. I believe with zero doubt in my mind that if Deshaun Watson had been the player that most of us thought he would be, the player that he was in Houston, the 3 first-round picks wouldn't have mattered. But it's the combination of the two, him being the worst quarterback in the NFL and wasting those picks, that makes it a disaster.
But you got to go back to the start of it. You went 1-31, and there are 2 Hall of Famers in that same draft class. You chose Baker.
Yeah.
Now Baker is playing well and he's good, but you missed
not Josh Allen.
Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and those guys are in your division. When you miss their
conference, one in the division.
If you miss there, it's done.
It's hard to overcome that.
You're not coming back from that. So the 3 first-round picks that you get Deshaun Watson is predicated on the fact that you missed once and was trying to salvage the miss.
I'm not even so sure they missed by drafting Baker. They could have done better by drafting Josh. I'll give you that. I don't think it was a miss by drafting Baker.
We'll never know.
We'll
never know if he would have turned his career around had he stayed here.
But 2 years into his career, he's got the team in the playoffs. 2 years later, he's gone. The miss to me wasn't drafting him. It was giving up on him after he was trying to play through an injury, and you just washed the slate.
It wasn't that, Jay. There was more to it than that.
I don't think there was.
He was turning the ball over more than any quarterback in the league. That's a problem.
Could you give any of that to an injury?
It's not just that year. His whole career, he'd been turnover prone.
Listen, he is a turnover machine.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You that.
He doesn't
but is he still leading the NFL in touchdown passes?
He's not.
He's third.
He's up there.
And he's doing it. He's lost his 2 best receivers that are Pro Bowl receivers. His numbers, even without Evans and Godwin, have been good.
But he never played anywhere. He didn't play at this level ever here. Not this level.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think he broke the record for most touchdowns by a rookie.
So what I'm saying,
by a rookie.
Every quarterback that's in the league right now was a rookie at one point.
You don't agree that he's playing much better now than he ever played here?
Bull, listen, I was driving the Baker train. I don't think we should have gotten rid of him.
That's fair, but you have to admit he's playing much better now.
I saw the level of play that he is playing at more consistently now. I saw glimpses of that then. It was early in his career.
Let me ask you this.
But you can see glimpses of it from anybody.
Let me ask you this, and just a simple question. Knowing what you know today, if you had to draft over again, would you take Baker Mayfield over Josh Allen?
No. No, I'm not making that case.
No.
Well, that's the only thing I'm saying.
But you said it was a miss. So
that classifies as a miss if you could have took him.
There's hits, there's misses, but if a miss is a strikeout and a hit is a home run, there's also a triple. And you can win with triples. And so a miss to me would have been like, oh my God, a miss is Deshaun Watson. That's a miss.
Relitigating the Baker thing at this point is silly. We've been over it a million times.
It is, because I think
they felt like, I know I personally watching, I felt like you can't win a Super Bowl with Baker. Now the game has changed again a little bit.
Yes.
That maybe you can win with a little. I still don't trust Baker in a big game.
I know you don't.
In a big spot. I think he's got more to prove, and part of that is because he turns the ball over.
But the reason there's no litigating it is
he's played
because
well. I'm not denying that.
I think if the question, if you want to go back to the draft, you can do that. But there's also this question.
Yeah.
Gun to head. You have that decision to make over again. And the decision is this. Because they moved on from Baker only because they brought Deshaun into the fold. That's it. So if you could go back in time, this is not even a question. 1,000 fair-minded and straight-thinking fans will tell you they bet on the wrong horse.
Of course, nobody's
that's my point. So
what's the Browns' record with Baker right now?
The reason I don't know. And I don't even, that's
not
a game
good.
we can play with Patrick Mahomes. They're probably 5-5.
I know, but
with Baker, they're better than 2-8. I don't know what they are.
Are they?
But here's the thing.
Maybe one game better.
I'm trying to do this moving forward.
Yeah.
This is the same organization that said, Baker out, Deshaun in. Wrong. Definitively wrong. Everybody admits it was
fair,
wrong.
But I think most teams would have. I think every team in the league would have done the same thing.
I disagree with that.
All right.
I saw the Bengals stay pat with Andy Dalton for a long time. I know
they never had a chance to get a player of Deshaun Watson's caliber.
Yeah, but Bull, I get that, and
they were wrong to stay with Andy Dalton. They never won a playoff
Baker's
game.
third in the league right now in touchdown passes.
My whole premise is the same guys that are here. They made multiple wrong choices at quarterbacks.
And that's why, that's my point. And so my point is, and coaches and general managers, so I'm supposed to bank on them getting it right again?
Of course not. Who
no,
could?
I have zero faith they will get it right the fifth time they do it. And that's why it's so frustrating as a Browns fan, because usually there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't see it.
It doesn't feel like there is one.
I think they've killed the power. There's no light. There's a train coming, and it's blocking out all the light. Yeah. And there's going to be another wash, rinse, repeat at the end of this year, or maybe Friday morning. I don't know. It's coming.
Yeah.
Brace for it. It's coming.
And
and then will they get it right this time?
I mean,
here's the one thing I hope they do.
You're going to bet no.
Get Paul DePodesta out of the organization, and then I'll think you have a chance. Because I think we lost Dorsey because Paul DePodesta won the power struggle.
In fairness, I think Dorsey hiring Freddie Kitchens did it to himself, unfortunately.
I think so, but when Dorsey is trying to throw Paul DePodesta out of meetings, and the Browns are Paul DePodesta.
I'd rather have Dorsey now than DePodesta.
Oh my God, that's the extent. I would give me Dorsey and Baker, and I like where we are. Instead, we have Paul DePodesta and Deshaun Watson.
And we'll see how that plays out Thursday. We'll have the full recap of the show on Friday, then 30 minutes on WKYC. Z-Biotics, Guy, is the first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how to use it. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. Step 2, drink responsibly. And Step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use promo code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. The Cavs back in action tonight. G. Bush will be in attendance. G, you know who won't be in attendance?
Who?
Almost the entire Pelicans roster. This is the list of names who is not playing for New Orleans tonight. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, C.J. McCollum, Trey Murphy, DeJounte Murray, Jalen Noel, and Zion Williamson. 8 of their top 9 leading scorers are not playing in tonight's game. It is the second night of a back-to-back. They're all on the injury report, which means it is not necessarily just a rest decision. But the Pelicans clearly do not give a single rat's you-know-what about this game, and they are sitting 8 of their top 9 leading scorers.
Are they really?
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Sitting may not be the right word.
They played
8 of
last
the top
night,
9 are not playing. They've already been ruled out on this morning's injury report. So How do
You
you
might
think
be
the Cavs
watching a
respond
JV
tonight?
game tonight because the Cavs are going to do the same
Who
thing.
are the Cavs sitting tonight? Do we know?
It has not been officially released who is
I'd be
sitting.
surprised if
Don't
Darius
be
didn't
surprised
play
by
today.
that. Yeah, I
Let
know.
me see who. So Donovan has some time off. Mobley has some time off. It might be Darius Garland.
Although
time off.
I would, you know what? If I'm the Cavs and I'm Darius, I want to play tonight.
You want to get that bad taste out of your mouth.
Especially with them
100%.
not playing anybody, you'll probably have a big game.
Yeah.
And real quick, this is a great stat from my guy Justin and Carter at the Chase Down Pod. The Cavs have played 17 games, tonight included, in 28 days.
That's a lot.
They'll play their next 17 games in 43 days.
So they got a lot of
Wow.
So you're going to get some time off after this
I
game
like that.
to rest guys. I actually think a lot of the Cavs will play, I'll be honest.
Hey, listen, get back on it. They had a tough loss yesterday. And you know what? I think Kitty Atkinson is going to have I think I would have loved to be in that film session. Because you could tell Kenny was kind of annoyed on the sideline with some of the rotations, especially defensively. I think he's going to have a field day. Like, that's an opportunity. You come in and dress everybody down and say, listen, you guys thought you was better than what you was. You won 15 games. You forgot how we got to 15 games. Let me show you, and you. Because think about it. There's that honeymoon period, and McNuggets talked about it. What happens when your shots aren't falling?
Yeah.
And their shots necessarily weren't falling in Boston. And we talk about habits. Just because your shots ain't falling does not mean you revert to certain things. So I'm anxious to see what type of energy they come out with, what type of thought process that Kitty Atkinson has to get guys to move the ball more. And I'm looking for a bounce back game from Darius Garland. But I must say this, by the way. Zion Williamson might be the most disappointing player, superstar that I've ever witnessed. When that kid was playing at Duke, there was nothing you could do with him. I have never seen a person come in and get a bag and just completely be like, I'm cool with just not being good.
He is the poster child for underachievers.
Oh my gosh, bro. I thought they was going to be, I'm like, man, this kid, like, he's going to be that.
Folks were saying he was a unicorn.
He was? Like,
one of one.
When he plays, he has been. That's the
I
crazy
know
part.
he's been hurt a lot, but
I gotta
that's
say,
a huge part of it.
I
Mike.
got to say, and I'm going to blame Mike here.
Okay.
The overuse of unicorn for basketball players
I used
is
it. Not
out of well,
I
but,
used it.
But,
Okay.
but Mike is
I
the one who
didn't use it.
started this with Evan Mobley.
I've heard it before.
No, Jason called him a unit.
Okay, then I'll blame
I called
Jason.
him
Yeah.
Little Sebastian. I called him a
It
mini
is
punch.
out of control. It's out of control.
Now, I will say this.
But you know what we're talking about.
If you
Like, you
want-
just don't see players like him.
By definition, there are only 3 unicorns. 3.
There are no unicorns.
No, Kevin Durant is a unicorn. He's 7 foot. He shoots wherever you want to, and if he
Wemby's
wants,
a unicorn.
But why?
Wemby's a
Wemby
unicorn.
is another one, yes.
And
Wait, but hold on a second.
And LeBron is a unicorn.
In-
the rest of them are good.
Is there
basketball
only
players.
one unicorn in fiction?
I don't know that there's any in
There's a
real life.
movie
I live in
called-
I know
reality.
there's none in
so
real
there's
life.
none.
They're saying in fiction.
There's a movie and anime called The Last Unicorn.
Yeah.
Very scary. I don't know why it is. They got this big raging bull dragon that's chasing this unicorn, burning down. It's a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Last Unicorn. I watched it when I was young, and it was on Channel 5. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Sunday movie matinee.
I'm
Back
just,
in the day.
I'm just trying to understand why unicorn means one of one.
It means something special. It means a mythical creature of grandeur.
Wow, look at G. Bush dropping these
Bull,
freaking
because I want to make sure we get this Stephen Vogt.
SAT words.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Mythical
how do you think the
feature of
Cavs bounce
grandeur.
back tonight? Do you expect a rout? Do you expect it to be a close game? How do you expect this game to play out tonight at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse?
I expect them. Well, I was expecting a close game because they had played a big game last night.
I was worried this
but
could
now
be a
that
trap
New Orleans
game.
is not playing their whole roster,
Yeah.
then I assume they'll win easy.
I mean, as long as Taysom Hill doesn't come from New Orleans, he's not coming in, is he?
To my knowledge,
Because if he
you never
comes in,
know.
we lose.
never know.
It's a
They
fact.
should put him in there.
He'll run through our defense like it's not there.
Yeah.
Just like he did Sunday.
The pick and roll with Taysom Hill is unstoppable. I can't believe that. And Jim Schwartz, your name should be on the hot seat too. Why does he get to slide?
I don't
Why
get
does
it.
Jim Schwartz
I don't
always
know.
slide under
well,
the radar?
I assume if Kevin Stefanski gets fired, everybody's
I
getting
mean,
fired.
Oh, yeah. It's a
he's-
house cleaning.
He's found out. He got found out, man.
It's a house cleaning.
All right,
Maybe
let
they
me
should
get-
call AVP back.
Go.
The offense was
Bring
pretty
John
good when he was
Dorsey
the
back,
offensive
bring
coordinator.
House Van Belt back. Go ahead, Mike.
Let me get one more, our final reading, because I do want to talk Stephen Vogt, and then we will do some super chats to wrap up the show. Hillsdale Community College is one of our newest sponsors. History, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study those things in high school? Probably not, or even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Time and technology have changed a lot of things, but they have not changed the basic fundamental truths about our world and our place in it. Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free courses. That's right, free online courses including The Rise and Fall of the Roman Republic, a brand new documentary-style course on Marxism, Socialism, and Communism, and The Great American Story, A Land of Hope. All of Hillsdale's courses are self-paced so that you can start whenever, tune in wherever, and go as deep as you want with readings, quizzes, and discussions, or just simply enjoy the lectures. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's easy to get started. That's at hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Stephen Vogt, your AL Manager of the Year in his rookie campaign. Bull, did the voters get it right?
Yeah, I think so. I was surprised he won by as much as he did. I
It was
thought it would be a much closer
landslide.
vote.
I was too.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be very close.
Yeah.
He got
but-
27 of 30 first place.
I know. I was stunned by that.
Why?
Because Detroit and Kansas City had
Kansas City had lost
from the
100 games the
Kansas
year
City
before.
had a from the ashes season, and
Yeah.
and now I know the voting was done before the playoffs, and
Right.
Detroit made quick work of a good Astros team in the playoffs to prove to everyone they're real.
Right.
But I got to tell you, I did not see 27 of 30.
I mean, Stephen Vogt, you look at this Guardians roster, like, where are all the proven players? You got a couple ball players.
Well, it was not like the Royals had a million proving players either.
Well,
on the Tigers.
I'm just saying, but they finished. They finished second with second best.
They lost
record.
100 games last year, G.
Stephen Vogt came after Terry Francona. You know how many writers probably wrote the Guardians office? Oh, they about to fall off.
Well, they
hadn't been good the year before either.
Right.
It wasn't even
So-
falling off.
No, but 2 years ago they were very
Yeah.
good.
So you get Stephen
And the
Vogt.
talent was, the team was there.
You get Stephen Vogt. They really didn't have any top flight major name players besides Ramirez and the guys that they usually have. You take a look at the injuries to the starting rotation.
That was big. I think that's what the voters looked at.
Right. I thought more people would vote for the other guys first. They
I did
didn't.
too. I just thought it would
I
be a
think
little
you could
closer.
have made a good argument for all three. Stephen Vogt, good for him.
I thought Vogt would win. I thought that it would be close.
Yeah,
I really did.
Yeah.
What Hinch did in Detroit, too, they were sellers at the deadline.
Right.
Like, that has to be factored in. Now, I don't know that you can reward a guy because they were so bad in the first half of the season.
Right.
And that's what a vote for Hinch would have done.
But I would say
Kansas City, my God, they were
100 lost team.
100
And
lost
if you
team.
look at the talent on the rosters, to me, in terms of proven talent, the Tigers definitely had the least.
Yes, I would buy
outside
that.
of Scooble, they had like no proven talent.
None.
Now I'm a little scared because the Royals and the Tigers
No, that's our division.
and the Twins is
Twins
liable
always
to
competitive.
every other year to be good.
Sure.
Like I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous.
Division's going to be tough.
A little nervous. It's
The White Sox could improve by 20 games and they'd still lose 100.
And what happens? What kind of carryover is there going to be for Emmanuel Clase?
That's a huge question.
Because,
I know
wow.
that people are not going to go gaga over his regular season. It's not
No, they
going to
won't.
feel as good.
No.
Now he might pitch fine. I don't know, but yeah, that's going to be a big question going into next year.
bullpens are year to year though.
They are
100%.
year to year.
But Clase,
he has not been.
he's been one of those rare guys that has not been.
Yeah.
And there's very few of those, and he's been one of them.
But I just wonder, there's a confidence factor that goes into that.
No doubt.
When you get dinged, the next time you go to the mound, you think about it. Even if you have a good or maybe two good outings,
Yeah.
that one's always in the back of your mind.
No doubt.
And because it was at the biggest stage, like nationally, go around and interview baseball fans and ask them what they think of Emmanuel Clase. They say, oh, man,
Yeah.
that guy was terrible in the playoffs.
By the way, George Valera, who at one point was one of the Guardians' top prospects, they essentially cut him yesterday.
DFA.
Yeah.
Like but
Never even got a chance in
Bull.
the majors. He's been hurt too many times.
but this is my thing.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Espino, right?
No, he's still on.
No, he's still there.
But I mean, he's been hurt.
But he's
Yes.
been coming forever,
Ever.
and he can't,
that was
can't
crazy.
get healthy.
That was crazy. We're gonna fast forward that one though. That didn't even happen.
Oh, yeah. If Espino gets hurt again, I mean, he could easily be gone.
He's one
I
injury
got
away
you, G.
from it.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you too. Yeah, I got you
that's
too.
why
What
we
I
didn't
missed?
say nothing. It's
No,
done.
it was a silent pause.
Yeah, it was.
sorry.
I thought it was it was. But here's what we're gonna say.
You can't get by anything by.
No.
G.
Are we ready to? What we doing? I see the middle log jam is coming. Jimenez and his stick, right? Bazzano is playing second base, right?
Yeah.
If Jimenez is not going to be...
He's not going anywhere. He's a Gold Glover. Too valuable. Too valuable. I'd
So-
move him to short. I'd
Well,
bring
they could
Bazzana
move him to
up.
short.
And then Rocchio is the odd man out. But you know what I want to see?
But
I want to see April, May, and June with Rocchio, because I talked about how Clase's confidence is dinged.
Yeah.
And that carries over. What carryover, if any, is there for Brian Rocchio for the monster that he was in the
they're not gonna-
playoffs?
they're not
Playoff
gonna
Rocchio is elite.
Yeah, they're not going
It was
to
elite.
They're not going to
Playoff-
trade Jimenez because he's worth more to them than other teams. Nobody's given up a good
Yeah.
package for him because he's been a slightly below average hitter and he's getting paid a lot of money.
Listen, I was reminded by it again this
Yeah.
year, and I don't want to make a lot out of a drop fly ball from Aaron Judge, but let's face it, that kicked the door down, and they were already losing in the series, but they were coming back into it. You've got to be strong up the middle. You need a strong shortstop second base combo. They have that. You need a strong center fielder. You need a strong catcher. Up the middle, if you're elite, you've got a chance.
But here's the problem. The only problem, Jay, is that they didn't pay him just for defense.
No, I know he's coming off a great
The
offensive
Guardians
year that we
don't
haven't.
pay people
No, I know.
at all. So with their payroll restrictions that they've put on themselves,
Right.
if he doesn't hit,
Which he has
that
not
contract's
done.
going to be horrible.
But that's 2
I don't
years
even
in
know
a
that
row
I'll
he
say
hasn't hit.
horrible because he is an elite fielder.
Yeah, but
elite,
if
not
he's
just a
bel-
Gold Glove fielder.
I get it, but if he's a he's about to get like $20 million a year.
I don't think he's a below average second baseman offensively.
I mean,
Offensively.
I don't know second base specifically. He is a below average major league hitter. If
I
you
would-
look at OPS, he's
I'm
been
going
below average.
to put him slightly below as a major league hitter, but I'm going to compare oranges to oranges. I'm going to compare him to
All
other
right.
second basemen.
Yeah,
he's
I don't
not
know where he
Jose
ranks as
he's not
second
Altuve, but also there are a lot of other second basemen that don't play as well defensively.
I know,
that are
but-
not as good as he is
And
offensively.
if they didn't have payroll restrictions, then it wouldn't matter.
You're
But
right.
He's got to hit more for him to be worth his money.
I would love more
So
offensive
you're
production.
saying they didn't win the Lindor conversation?
Of course they didn't.
All right, here we go.
We got some super
They
chats.
did because they don't have to pay that big money.
Super chats.
I'd like to be paying that big money. He's an all-star.
Mick McGee says McNuggets is missing a white van with free Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
M. Bind, there's a bunch of these, so we'll get them all.
There
M.
was
Bind
one
says-
tweet with the picture from the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, the brother.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Kip, yeah.
Kip,
That's
yeah.
who Mike
Kip.
looks like.
Yeah.
He looks like Kip.
M. Bind says, guys, the Cavs played 16 games in how many days, didn't have their best, and only lost by 3 to the well-rested NBA champs. They fought till the very end. Good job.
We're a little disingenuous with the 3, by the way. They made a 3 at the buzzer. It was a 6-point game. Let's keep it real.
Well, it was a 2-point game for a lot of the fourth quarter.
We're being a little disingenuous.
I don't think we are. It was a 2-point game 5 times.
For the cup, all points count.
Yeah, all points. That's
All
true.
does.
For the cup. Big
DB Dog
Emirates Cup.
21 says Okoro would have been more physical on Tatum. We can beat this team. We won't shoot that bad in a series. They won't shoot that good.
I agree.
Hopefully.
M. Bind says DG had a bad game, but to say trash feels too harsh.
It was
For
a
that
trash
game-
game.
Who said?
You did.
I
It was
said
a trash
Yeah,
game.
yeah. You said it was trash at the
It
beginning of the
was.
show.
I-
It was trash.
Trash game. He
Yeah,
3
played.
for 21 is trash. Darius will tell you that.
I didn't say
he's
he
not
had
a
a
trash
trash
player.
player. Like,
no,
yeah. I felt
his
like-
performance last night was trash.
And I think
It was.
and I said he's played well for the most part of
You
this
don't
whole
need to defend
season.
yourself.
he's
He's
played
played
great,
great
this
this
season.
season.
He had a
Player of the
trash
week.
game.
Player of the
He's
week.
played at an all-star level all year, and last night when the stage got big and the lights got bright, he turned into Darius Garland 2023.
Mike normally is a good-looking guy. Today he looks like trash.
Applicable. Eddie Everhart says McNuggets looks like Ben McAdoo from the end of his Giants coaching era.
Not
Chris
bad.
Fox says you guys are going way too hard on DG. He's been the best point guard.
I mean, I can't even entertain those ridiculous questions. We haven't
Chris
been hard
also
on him at all.
says Caris, Okoro, and Dean Wade would have changed the Celtics game plan. And then a couple more roasts that Steve Becker sent
Yeah.
from the chat. Edward Zupan said Ted Lasso McNuggets. Phil
it
Bowman
does have a
says
Ted
Mikey
Lasso
bought a
vibe.
van last night. DS says
Down by the
Ron
river.
Jeremy McNuggets. Creative Juice, Mikey Manzardo.
Right? Mikey
Edward
Manzardo.
Zupan says Mr. Potato Head McNuggets. Max Weber McNuggets looks like the Trooper McIntyre from Super Troopers. Beast Grill says McNuggets looks like Weird Al Yankovic. And the
Yankovic.
Only in Cleveland channel says the mustache is as bad as Darius played last night. And those are your – we got one
worse.
more that just popped in. One more in the final seconds. Charles T. said, re-sign Winston, build the offense. Personnel is the best move. Winston came into a team that was built up. Brian Robinson Jr., sign him veteran and free. Wait, hold on. This makes no. Oh, Jaden Daniels. I'm going to restart this.
Hold on.
Re-sign Winston and build the offensive personnel. That's the best move. Jaden Daniels came into a team that was built up. Brian Robinson, veteran running back. Scary Terry, other receivers. O-line, free agency. They did it right, not just the quarterback.
What you mean they was built up?
Washington wasn't much
was
before
not
he
built
got
up.
there. He was the missing link,
What you mean?
and he's taken them
Yeah.
to new heights.
And by the way, they've lost like 4 in a row now.
yeah, they're in a little bit of a slide.
Yeah, and I
right
thought
now.
they'd make the playoffs, and I still think they have a good chance. But
They whiffed on Chase Young. They lost
Yeah.
him for multiple D linemen for
let's
free.
not make the Washington a great organization.
No, they're not.
They
They
did.
clearly got it right, or at least it seems they got it right with Jaden Daniels. But
They got him and Terry McLaurin.
Cleveland.
I like the way you said Terry McLaurin and other receivers. Like, who are the other
Yeah.
receivers?
That's
See in overtime.
And others.
Yeah.
that's that power
Whatever
piece.
you refer